I give up that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 18th, 2024 regular council meeting for the Village of Yellow Springs Village Council. Judy, if you could call the roll.
Yes, Stokes.
I'm here.
DeVore Leonard.
Gavin.
He looks like he's here.
Yep.
All right,
Hello,
I'm gonna-
Gavin.
It's okay, I'll look back.
Okay.
Brown. Here. Hausch.
Here.
DeVore Leonard, can you hear? All right, we'll get him in. Destination is due any moment.
Alrighty. So, swearings in is Jonathan Ricketts here for being sworn into the Environmental Commission.
I don't see him.
Going once. I just heard a door. We'll pause.
No. Well, he's on board, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good enough. Moving on. Announcements. Why don't we, Rose, would you like to start?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad everyone's here. I have an announcement about a project that me and the water department and the meter department have been working on. Okay, so we have been doing a service line inventory for the EPA, which means documenting the service line material, which is the pipe coming in and out of your water meter. We've also been documenting more information about what's going on in your meter pits, like the status of the shutoff valves, which are customer owned. So your service line are either made out of plastic, which is not lead, copper, which is not lead, galvanized steel pipe, which is not lead, or lead. We have not found any lead service lines or joints during this inventory so far, but we still have a list of 392 accounts with service lines that we have not yet classified, and per the EPA, we are required at this time to send a letter to each one of them explaining that the current status of their water line is quote-unquote lead status unknown. So this is kind of a scary letter to receive, and I wanted to come here today to just explain a little bit more about what that means. It really just means we haven't verified what the material of your service line is. We do plan to continue and finish that service line inventory and update all of those customers with what their material is. We will have opportunities for people to contact us and verify if you don't get a letter, your lines are not lead and what they are made of. So we are asking for patience from the community because we don't want the trust in our water to be broken. We will be releasing more information on your utility bills. You should always watch the message board on your utility bills. I know that's kind of annoying, but and then through social media and our website and through Civic Plus, which has been so great about communicating with everyone. So at the beginning of 2025 and every year thereafter, we will be sending another letter. So the other part of this is that if we make a final determination that your service line is made out of galvanized steel pipe, it is classified as galvanized requiring replacement, or GRR, and you will get a letter with all of the pertinent information that you need. It's where there is a galvanized service line that is or was at any time downstream of a lead service line, or if we were unable to demonstrate that the galvanized service line was never downstream of a lead service line. At that point, we must presume that there was at some point an upstream lead service line. So, and that is because galvanized service lines can capture lead released from upstream service lines, and over time the particles can enter your drinking water, causing elevated lead levels. I spoke with Brad Alt, our superintendent of water and wastewater treatment, and his explanation about lead in our water lines was really interesting, so I'm sharing it with you. Lead is unusual among drinking water contaminants in that it seldom occurs naturally in the water supplies like rivers and lakes. Lead enters drinking water primarily as a result of corrosion or wearing away of materials containing lead in the plumbing. Buildings built prior to 1986 are more likely to have lead pipes, fixtures, and solder. New buildings can also be a risk since even legally lead-free plumbing may contain up to 8% lead. The most common problem is with brass or chrome-plated brass fixtures, which can leach significant amount of lead into water, especially hot water. But The good news is that Yellow Springs water is considered to be non-corrosive / slightly scale-forming water, which means it's not corroding the pipes and leaving lead behind, and so that's good. Health screenings are available through the Greene County Health Department, and Yellow Springs currently tests for lead and copper at 20 households throughout the village on an annual basis. We have sampled 20 spots yearly since 2019 and are routinely below the 90 percentile action level. That is what I know. Any questions from?
Yeah, actually, Rose, can we just like have a, I'm actually confused. So
Yeah.
can we have a high level, like,
Sorry.
I'm
high
sure
level,
we're like
high
grades
level is
and
a bunch
yeah.
of people are going to get a letter that's a little scary, that's set from us through, required by the EPA to say, we don't know what your pipes are made of. Their lead status unknown. And we need people to not freak out and overload us with questions, because this is an ongoing inventory that we're doing and we're just not done yet.
Right, and we have great water.
Yes.
And we have like state funding.
Yes.
To do what we need to do, and so.
And we're replacing a bunch of
Yeah.
old pipes and, upgrading
And I love
galvanized
it.
all
Like
over
I love what you guys
all
are
over
doing,
the
but I just
village.
wanted to make sure everyone's
Yeah.
like clear that
Thank
we're
you.
good. Yeah.
Brian, I think it's clear to say we do have state funding to replace the mains.
Yep.
This is non-state funded for the homeowners at this time.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is fill out the mandated forms. EPA's requiring us to send letters. When the letter comes, you're going to see what we see. Be aware, it's a scary letter, and we're going to work to try to identify it, and we're going to keep it at the top of the list to try to find funding. But right now, there is no funding for homeowners for lead copper replacement.
Okay.
So-
So it sounds like this
More
is
to come.
this sounds a future agenda item.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, but just because the letters are going out next week, I wanted to be here and have it on everyone's radar so that, when people are asked, get the letters and ask you questions, you know what's going on. Yeah.
Thanks, Rose.
So Rose, you mentioned the 20 homes. I presume those are randomly selected from the review?
Brad has a whole list of criteria as to how those homes are pinpointed.
Okay.
Depending on where they are in the village and also what year they were built. Correct.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do we have any other announcements?
Oh,
Okay.
we actually do. You're going to talk about Vita?
Sure.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, this past Saturday, PACC hosted the second annual Vita Award celebration at the Herndon Gallery. This year, the recipients were Jennifer Berman, posthumously Bill Chappelle, Robert Pichelle, Flo Lorenz, and Michael Jones. And one of the things that made the evening so special, at least for me, was that everybody, and this just dawned on me, everybody was either a former student at Antioch or faculty or staff or all three. It was really amazing. I think the oldest recipient, Flo, is 93. She's the grande dame. If you're in the Emporium between noon and 2, except for on Wednesdays, because that's Scrabble Day, and Saturday, because they play music, she is the finest dressed, decked out in her handmade jewelry, talking about anything from Shakespeare to hip hop. So it was a really great event.
It was amazing, honestly.
was a good-
And
we had fun.
it just reminds me, that, again, we invest I think 0.05% of our budget to like support culture, and what you guys are doing is amazing. Ben, do we have that picture? So, yeah, I wanted to mention, I love this. Yes, so, thanks to Riley for having the vision around this Abby walk. So some of you may know that we did a walking audit of the downtown, trying to improve our safety around walking and biking infrastructure. And so we had a really good time. We had 23 people show up, give a lot of feedback. We had 4 of our students, a lot of a great mix of folks. And this is something that we want to continue to do, just to make sure that we improve our walkability, bikeability, rollability in the village. One of the things that has come up is with some of the new things that are happening at Antioch, that we need to duplicate this there, and think about how parking, walking, biking, walking, all that makes sense. And so, yeah, really great interaction. And yeah, I want to thank everybody that was involved in that. And otherwise, so for those of you that don't know, it is one of my favorite person's birthday.
It's not my birthday.
Yeah, well, yeah, second favorite.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it is Carmen's birthday, so if you didn't grab a brownie already, but I just think when you have to work on your birthday, you should at least get sang to.
Something.
So, yes,
Don't
so
do
I
it.
think, yeah, so we are doing that. So I'm going to start it off. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carmen. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Wow. The acoustics in this room is great. Yeah.
That was so sweet. I feel like I'm gonna vomit. That was very sweet.
We've got a
Yes.
bag.
Even as a kid, I wasn't. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're good.
Yeah,
I
excellent.
guess you're just supposed to say thanks.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all. All right.
Excellent.
I'm good.
All right, great. All right, no other announcements. We're gonna move on to our consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, we have the minutes of our last regular meeting, as well as the credit card statement for the month of October. So regarding the minutes from our November 4th, 2024 regular meeting, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving those minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Huh? Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. Moving on to the credit card statement for the month of October. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approving the credit card statement for October, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. Excuse me, review of the agenda. This is where we take a look at the current agenda and see if there's anything we want to add to it or change or pull from it. Council, any thoughts regarding review of the agenda? All right.
I will take this moment, however, to just reiterate that we made a slight change based on folks being a little bit confused about when can one speak. Does it have to be on the agenda? What do I do if it's maybe but not entirely on the agenda? All citizen comments outside of legislation are to go to citizen concerns. So even if the topic is on the agenda, citizens' concerns is where you want to speak and get your 3 minutes. If it is not a public hearing on an ordinance, there may be no public comments opened on it. Generally, comments are accepted for resolutions that are impacting citizens. That's up to council president. But again, all public comment falls into citizen concerns unless it is on legislation, and you'll know at that time.
Thank you for that, Judy. And as Judy alluded to, we will speak to those various opportunities when citizens' concerns will be accepted. So, nothing else on review of the agenda. We're moving on to petitions and communications. Gavin, if you would, please.
Yeah, so we've got the mayor's court, clerk with the mayor's monthly report. I'm going to do some grouping like I did the last time. Robin Hall with support for affordable housing in general. Then on the Cascades funding and information, we've got Ilse Tebbetts, Emily Seibel, Carlos Landaburu, Stephen Conn, Antonia Dosik, Abigail Cobb, Tanya Mouse, Natan Mazursky, Sandy McHugh, Mitzi Miller, Catherine Roma, Barbara Tuss, Lori Asplund, Dino Pilata, and Dirk Lakovich Van Gorp. Then Jessica Thomas and Chloe Manor submitted information with perspective on both the Cascades and the low-income housing tax credit. Other folks who submitted related to the low-income housing tax credit include Emily Seibel, Eric Oberg, and Dirk Lakovich Van Gorp. And I think that was all of the petitions and communications.
Thank you, Gavin, and thank you to the citizens for your input. As we move into public hearings and legislation, there are 2 emergency readings because we are familiar with them, and we would like to have the opportunity to just read those in by title only. The chair will entertain a motion to read in those emergency items by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none. Judy, if you could please read emergency reading of ordinance 2024-17 by title only.
This is 2024 fourth quarter supplemental appropriations and declaring an emergency, Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. There we go. Michelle.
So as you have before you is the fourth quarter supplemental. On the worksheet page, there's various items listed. One of them was donations that the police department received for their special events. There's several related to parks wages. It was just additional budget that's needed for the hours that they've been working. There is a donation that was made for lifeguard certification. There was also the street fair, fall street fair, the funds that Sam and her crew collected for parking. They want those allocated for operating supplies and special events. And then there's several of them for electric wages. With the storms that we had additional hours, so we need to cover those wages. And then also we have the broadband. We have additional costs associated with that.
Right. All right, council, any comments or questions of Michelle? Since this is...
Well-
Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Gavin.
Sorry, so the broadband, is that just I know we had talked about there might be some damage from the storm. Is that what that is, or is it something else?
There's damage from the storm and some repairs that we had to make. Right now, it's in the neighborhood of about $9,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. Any other comments from council?
Well, just a reminder that, it is on our schedule to figure out what we're going to do with that municipal broadband. So,
Yep. Well, it's proving that the need exists.
Yes.
Without us making much decision.
Yep.
But we will, we'll definitely acknowledge that. Since this is the emergency reading, or the final reading, I will open the council chamber for public hearing. So does the public have any comments, questions, concerns about this item? Please, if you want to speak, please. Oh, yes.
Before, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh,
It's,
is it me or?
That ain't gonna help you.
It's not good. All right. Well, I will do the best I can. So we just read in an emergency ordinance regarding a supplemental to our budget, and the public hearing is now open. So are there citizens that have questions, comments, concerns regarding the information that our finance director just read to us, to share with us? All right, seeing no activity, and thank you for that, Judith. Seeing no activity on that, the public hearing is closed. And Judy, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
yes, DeVore Leonard,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hausch,
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone, for your participation in that. Next, Judy, if you could read by title only, ordinance 2024-18.
This is approving the 2025 annual appropriations and declaring an emergency, Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio. I'm sorry, 2025, misread that, annual appropriations and declaring an emergency, Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio.
All right, thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I heard two voices. I think there's a
okay,
move in a
second.
second. All right. Thank you, Michelle.
As you have before you is the proposed 2025 budget. We're asking for authorization of $18,102,489. This budget is inclusive of almost a nearly balanced general fund. We've been working probably since July on it. Tiffany, myself, Johnny, all the department heads. So it's before you for the first reading tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. Council, any questions or comments? All right, since this is a first reading, we'll not go into any in-depth conversation nor vote on it at this time. And if there's no questions, we'll go ahead and move on to our next item. Yep.
No, I think we should probably talk about the request from Home Inc. So,
Would you like to share something?
I mean, I guess, I mean, I know we've, all like thought about it. I guess I wonder, are we not like, we don't want to consider like thinking about like, if it's not 180,000, what is it? I mean, so.
Well, there are conversations ongoing to consider that, but I don't think anything's been solidified, so nothing's changed from the top as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so Judy, if we add something later, is that going to require like additional readings?
Yes, if you change the ordinance in any substantive way, it has to come back.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to add an additional $90,000 in support of the Cascades project that Home Inc. has brought forward to us. So.
Well, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Well, I'll second it. I mean, I didn't know, so this is, you're saying this would be the place to discuss this, Brian? Or anybody?
Because otherwise we won't be able to finish the budget by the end of the year. So I think we've got to decide now or never. So.
It's not now or never. The second reading would be at our next meeting, and there's certainly
But
opportunities.
then Judy just said we would have to like restart the readings. So.
Well, you can always pass a budget as an emergency, so yes, you would have to bring it back. You would not have to give it your readings. It would need one as an emergency.
So why not talk about it tonight?
You have the floor.
All right, well, I mean, so Gavin made a second. So yeah, I think we've gotten some pretty clear indication. And I mean, honestly, I don't think it's true that every council member, like, you know, kind of campaigned on affordable housing. But I think in general, when I look back, I think that is true. I think that ultimately, I'm going to stick with what I talked about at the last meeting. These are investments that come back in terms of property tax, new citizens, reducing costs for you know, folks in terms of our utilities. And I think it's not a good idea for us to pull back and not continue to invest in what I understand to be like a focus for this council. And again, as long as, you know, I've been involved with our local government. So anyway, I think we should, you know, make sure that we're sure that that's the budget we want to put forward. So, yeah.
Gavin and other council members?
Yeah, I'd be interested in what other folks think.
Trish and Carmen?
Since you've been on council, how many other councils have purchased apartment buildings?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No denying we're doing a
Right.
great job. Yeah.
What I don't
so,
want-
yeah,
what
so
I-
yeah, I do not, we're on, like, you know, we agree, like, we're doing great stuff. So I hope that never comes
What
out.
I
yeah.
don't want to happen is what I've seen happening, and that is that if someone doesn't agree about something, this budget, how it came to be, why it came to be, the request, then that's the antithesis of being supportive of affordable housing, and that's not true. So I don't want us to conflate those two things at all.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever said that.
No.
I don't feel
But
like
I felt
yeah.
like I needed to say that.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
just getting that out there for everybody to hear.
Trish, any comments?
I stand with my vote from previous. I am not in agreement with the 180,000 or the 90,000 at this time.
Understood. And as I said in our last meeting, I mean, there was a lot of road traveled, you know, getting us to this point. And my vote was transactional, not relational. In other words, it's not about, you know, how I feel about Home Inc. I think I am one of the folks up here who have consistently been in support of the Home Inc. mission. My vote was dependent on a recommendation from staff. I decided to adhere to that, and that was the reason for my vote, and that has not changed. But I will allow for a little more conversation, then I'll call the vote on the motion on the table.
So can we hear from Home Inc.? I mean, Judy, this is, I mean, you can't decide that.
Well,
I mean,
so-
all right, so I got an email today that said, if council wants to allow on resolutions discussion from community members, we can. So I would like to hear from Home Inc.
Well,
And I
there's a
think,
public hearing for this. This is an ordinance. That's the comment that I made about resolutions was because there's not a legal requirement to have a public hearing
no,
for
I
a
know,
resolution.
but you did, like, in your email today, say, like, if council decides we want to hear from folks on resolutions, we can. So I would like to hear from Home Inc. I mean, I think
is not
that's,
a resolution.
I think that's fair.
This is not a resolution.
It is an ordinance which has a public hearing, and the public hearing will be on December 2nd.
Well, I mean, but also, Amy, like, we are gonna have, if we change something, we would have to restart it. We already established.
And we
So,
established
all
that
right,
we could
so-
still do that in time.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask that we let some constituents speak on this.
There's a time for that in the public hearing. I mean, so we've deviated slightly from time to time with the times when we allow public comments. And I understand that this particular issue is sensitive to folks. It's sensitive to us up here as well. We've been in conversation, and we're still in conversation with the folks at Home Inc. I had a phone conversation with Emily today. So this has not gone away, but we'll
And I
have,
understand from those conversations, like, Carmen, you said you would like to hear a little bit more. I mean, and if that's wrong, like,
When did I say, wait,
I mean, why not, Kevin? Like, let's, I mean, let's allow a little bit of discussion. I mean, this is like,
well, I'll tell you what,
nah.
we're going to stick to our protocol. Okay? We'll have a public hearing next time. Information has been submitted. Unless there's something additional that can be said in addition to what has occurred in phone conversations and the letters and memos that we've received, and unless that has changed since the last time I read something from the folks I received, from what I received from Home Inc. as late as today, I'm not seeing where there's additional commentary necessary. I mean, we've done pretty good with the agenda up to this point, and we do have an executive session at the end of this meeting. So there's a process. And is there a reason why you want to make changes like this at this point?
only because we want to finish our budget by the end of the year. And if we make a change, Judy has already said, like, we have to restart. So why not just decide, like, tonight whether we're gonna, like, change our budget or not? Like, I mean, but
Does anyone from Home Inc. have anything additional to add in addition to what information you've already shared with us? I want you to be very careful. I said additional to what we've already had.
I think we could wait until citizen comments.
Understood. I appreciate that.
And
All right, yes.
well, I'm not understanding that you couldn't make a change tonight. I heard Kevin say that he would call roll on the motion. So, in fact, you are able to change the budget tonight, or not, depending on how that roll call goes.
And council, any other comments before we call the roll?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say that I was hoping that at some point, we would be able to have a conversation that felt like we could talk it out and find some balance. At the last meeting, we talked about, the idea of finding some amount that was less than 180,000, and 90,000 is, certainly a number less than 180,000. But, Kevin, you mentioned the sort of ongoing conversations. I think ideally we'd have more discourse, and that folks wouldn't feel sort of rushed. At the same time, I understand the sentiment of trying to get clarity on it sooner rather than later, but I'm also not personally uncomfortable with the idea of doing it. As if changes are necessary to the budget, obviously we make changes to the budget regularly, including earlier this meeting. So I like the idea of trying to figure out some way to support the project, simply because of the significant matching funds that are available if the project goes forward, and the concern that those funds would not be available, that the project will struggle to be completed without those resources.
Understood. Any other additional comments? Judy, if you call the roll.
Okay, so
And please, if you don't mind, for clarity, reread or restate Brian's motion.
Okay, so Brian moved to add $90,000 in support of Cascades to the currently proposed budget. It was seconded by DeBoer Leonard. So I'm calling roll on the motion to add $90,000 to the proposed budget.
Yes, and thank you.
You are welcome. Excuse me a second. Okay, DeBoer Leonard.
Yes.
Gustafson.
No.
Hausch.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Stokes.
No.
Motion does not carry.
All right, that was the first reading of ordinance 2024-18, and now we're going to emergency reading of ordinance 2024-19. Judy, if you could read that by title only.
This is approving the form and authorizing the execution of Blue Creek Wind Schedule with American Municipal Power Incorporated and taking other actions in connection therewith and declaring an emergency.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All righty, Johnny?
Okay, I brought this to you last council meeting. This is for, we're going away with one contract that has been fulfilled. We're looking at another one that's Blue Creek Wind. AMP recommended 1.6, but due to the wrecks, Courtney and Associates and I are in agreement that we split it in half and we go out for other renewable energy that creates bigger wrecks for us. So we are asking council to approve 0.8 megawatts from Blue Creek Wind. And this would be for a 5-year term starting January of 26. When our contract ends on the other one, we just got to get the contract for AMP starts in 25. Once ours falls off, we'll pick up and we start in January of 26.
All right. Thank you very much. Council, any questions for Johnny regarding this ordinance?
No.
Gavin, anything?
No.
All right. This being an emergency reading of an ordinance, it does require a public hearing. So the public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment or have questions regarding this ordinance? All right, seeing no activity, the public hearing is closed. Judy, if you could call the roll.
Yes. Gustafson.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
DeBoer Leonard.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now we're to, I was going to read it myself, but I'm not. Judy, if you could read Resolution 2024-70.
This is approving an option to purchase agreement with Yellow Springs Exempted School District.
All right, can I get a motion? So moved. I'll second it. All righty, hi.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, you have before you an option agreement with the schools. We've talked about this a couple of times. It feels like it's been a long time coming, and it's finally in your packet. This is the agreement that would allow the village to have the 3.6 acres of the school land under option. This is not a purchase agreement, right? This is nothing beyond making the formal agreement that should the village decide to, you can exercise the option and purchase the land. There's a few blanks, fill in the blanks in the agreement, because those are for your consideration. I drafted this based on my understanding of what I had heard from council. If you have any changes that you'd like to see, I'm happy to, we can work through this right here at the table. We'll need to discuss purchase price. And since this version has been, it's also been shared with the schools, has been shared with both parties. I've gotten some feedback from the schools. They've asked for this agreement to be contingent upon the granting of the LIHTC credits, which is fine. If it's council's will, we can include that in the document. That's not a problem. And then also the schools have requested that it be contingent upon the schools having secured replacement property, right, the 3.6 acres for athletic fields. So again, council's determination as to whether or not you want to have that language included in the option agreement. I did bring some sample language as to where we'd stick it in. The way the resolution is drafted is it says that if you approve this option agreement tonight, you'll be approving it in a form substantially similar to. So if we make some changes here together tonight, that'll be the form that you approve with the resolution. So any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them, or if you want to just jump right in on some of the decision making, we can do that.
I'd like to jump right in.
Yeah, jump in.
You want to start with purchase price?
Yeah, purchase price.
All right.
Is that?
It's section 3 of the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it obviously is blank because, like I said, I wanted to have this conversation with you. Johnny, do you want to share the appraisal amount? I didn't bring that up here with me.
The appraisal was for $339,000 for 3.6 acres.
Was it even?
Cool.
So, do we have to make motions to make changes, I presume, to add these things? No? Well, I would submit that the purchase price should match the appraisal price.
Yep.
Okay. You don't want council to make motions to tweak it? I like motions.
Well, I move.
I'll make a motion to make the purchase price $339,000.
Okay,
I'll second that.
great.
You want to go ahead and just do changes one at a time, Judy, if you could.
And you don't have to roll call it. You can
Yep. All right, all in favor of the $339 for the purchase price, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please use the same sign. All right,
And I guess I want to say to that, this is a great example of why do not pay attention to social media. No one ever said we were not going to pay the appraisal price. And I think that is fair and appropriate, and it's an important part of why this is a win-win.
If I created a social media flurry by leaving a blank in the document, I apologize. I just wanted.
No, you did not do that.
Legislative determination.
But there was a thing out there that we were not gonna pay the price, and we are. So yeah.
And so, Amy, where should the language? You said you had ideas about where the
I have
language.
ideas about where the language should go. So above that in section 2, section 2E is the option, the exercise of the option. So I would make that option, I would make that section 2F, and I would insert a section E before it, reading something along the lines of option contingencies. Buyer exercising the option. I apologize. I put a mint in. Really poor timing tonight. That was.
Well, I'm sure it's doing what it was supposed to do.
It really is. It really is. So my proposed language for new section 2E would be option contingencies. Buyer exercising the option will be contingent upon 1, an award of low-income housing tax credits by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency for development on the property, and 2, seller previously providing written confirmation to buyer, so that would be schools providing to village, that seller has secured land to replace the property with a capital P, that is reference to the school property, that seller has secured land to replace the property and has funds available to convert replacement land into athletic fields.
So So that's those 2 points under the new E.
under the new E.
So contingent upon the LIHTC, and then
And the
also
schools having secured replacement land and funds available to
funds,
convert it.
and
into
funds
athletic.
available to convert it.
So that language came to me from the schools. That was not,
Yep.
yeah, that was almost directly from.
Because the schools are committed to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will. It's your decision to make, but that's based on the feedback we got from school representatives.
Great.
I have a question, if it's not outlined.
I hear a voice, but
No,
Yeah.
no, the question's not outlined, just a moment.
It will happen.
Yeah. I guess that's Lynn's head I
Lynn,
see
yeah.
down there. Yeah, we'll
so do you need a motion to put a new?
Well,
May as well.
yeah, they can, if you want to discuss what I just proposed, you can make a motion to add it and then have a discussion about,
Okay.
see, she tripped me up on my thing about.
Yeah, without motions, yeah.
Now I'm all in.
A motion to put the language in for the LIHTC, and then also the funds available, converting the,
Okay,
yes, the language.
And I'll second
okay.
All right.
that.
All in favor of making that adjustment to the document, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion's passed. So we've got the $339,000 purchase price, and we will add a new section E that will say that the purchase option is contingent upon the LIHTC award or the, I can't even read what I wrote.
And the schools having land, having found replacement land and money to,
Replacement land and the
And funds
money
to-
the funds to update.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amy. Council, any other comments about this in general? So why don't we,
Did you vote? Did you
yeah,
vote?
on the second one, not the whole thing.
they voted on the second motion.
Yeah, we vote on the 2 changes,
Okay.
but not the resolution.
No, I know. And
So-
then C, did you need to get effective date?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it's a one-year term.
Does it have to be?
So the effective date would be when, that's just blank because that depends on when it's executed,
Okay.
But does it,
when the document is signed.
is it, can it be longer than a year?
It can be longer than a year.
Well, I think what I've heard is that, like, the parties involved are open to renegotiating. So, I mean, we could talk about that now or not worry about it.
Yeah, if we're open to negotiating later, my concern is based on the timeline before a check is written, that we might be later in 25 or as early as 26. Is that a true possibility?
Yeah.
But is it also true that we can do, I'm sorry, Gavin, terms for 1 year and then revisit?
Yep.
That's what I thought was like going to be baked in.
Okay.
Is that
1 year.
Is that not true? I mean, Amy, did we talk about like a renewal like thing or?
But
Okay, not yet.
that's a possibility, 1
Yeah,
year
currently
and
there's no
then,
extension in it.
Right.
It could be.
Okay.
Or, but if you were going to do that, I suppose I would just recommend you extend the term.
Go ahead, Gavin. Excuse me. The delay part.
Sorry. Yeah, no, sorry if I'm missing something. So can somebody say more about why might we want it to be longer?
I don't know who all brought up the concern, but when I first saw it, I had the question of, based upon the timeline of various events happening, it's possible that the funds might not actually be in hand until beyond the end of November. I'm getting some confirmation from Emily Seibel on that point. So
The main thing I've heard is if the scoring doesn't change, so that would be, a reason to have like a longer term. But again, I think we could.
yeah,
Bake that in.
what's reasonable? Emily, you mind coming up just for a second? I mean, I'd like to put a different end of the option, a later end to the option.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm Emily Seibel, Executive Director of Yellow Springs Home Inc. So, yeah, my understanding from talking with St. Mary is that It takes a while to close these out even after an award is made. There's a reservation of funds, then you have to go in for the final application, and then a whole bunch of stuff has to happen to get to closing. So I think having an end date in like the first half of 2026 would probably be better than ending it at the end of 2025.
Okay, thank you. So, anybody want to propose a date due to the administrivia that will need to happen at the end of the process? Just extending it to sometime in 26?
Why don't you do it?
All righty, let's go to.
And I'll second.
Let's go, I move, therefore, based on the previous discussion of said administrivia, that we modify the purchase option agreement so that the option would expire the end of June of next year.
Second.
All right? All in favor of that modification, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign?
Aye.
Duly noted?
When you say end of June, you mean 2026?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you said 2025.
I guess we did need to be clear about that because there's 2 Junes coming up. All right. So, was there anything else in question or that we wanted to reconsider on this one? I'm looking for highlights, and I'm not So why was 4A highlighted?
Oh, that's a fancy highlight that I couldn't get off the draft.
Okay.
Super fancy.
I love it.
Okay. So,
So I've
yeah.
got it. So if we've covered all the issues there, so this is a resolution. Just for yucks.
Do we have to do yucks?
Okay. Just for grins,
I mean,
What?
for grins and giggles. Go ahead.
well, I mean, because ultimately, the school board has their meeting on Thursday. So, I mean, our vote is basically just to say, like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing what we said we would do.
Yeah, we're going to vote. We're going to vote.
Okay.
But I heard there was some information from the school board. So Judith, if you don't mind coming up.
Okay, well, Judith Hempfling, Yellow Springs School Board President. First, at the last meeting, there was some question about how, Kevin, you articulated that it's made it sound like we initiated this whole thing. So I just wanted to clarify. Home Inc., who's Yellow Springs Affordable Housing nonprofit that was created by Village Council many years ago, given the level of expertise needed to succeed in these ventures, so they were created through the Village Council to help the Village Council in addressing the affordable housing needs of the community. And they came to you, and they came to community stakeholders regarding this $15 to $20 million LIHTC 50 affordable apartments proposal about a year ago. They had the stakeholder meetings. At that meeting, Superintendent Holden and School Board Member Dorothy Bouquet participated in the discussions. In the late April, the school board was pulled into to become aware of what was going on. And then in May, we invited Home Inc. and St. Mary's to come and talk to us about it. At that time, we approved the exploration of the request. And while the school board never voted on any legislation regarding legal costs the district would incur, I had stated in my memo for that May meeting, there will be legal costs to investigate this possibility. I'm asking that the school board support seeking assistance in defraying these expenses from other interested entities. We came to you guys because your top goal is affordable housing, and it's in your purview rather than the school board's. However, our strategic plan calls on us to be partners with other, to be communicating with other community organizations and to work with them for the better good. And we saw this as a good not only for the community, but for the school district, because it will be bringing families with young children. We have a commitment to diversity of our school district, and we know, given the cost of housing in this community, that diversity is going away, and that it's partly to do with the cost of housing. So then, in the July meeting, we passed a resolution. It was a 4-to-1 vote authorizing representatives of the Board of Ed to apply for the zoning changes, the subdividing, and then we all worked together with your legal and our legal to remove the lien. All of that has taken place. A lot of hard work has been done, and honestly, it's pretty amazing how far we've come along. Let's see. I'll be done in just a minute. The commitment right from the beginning was to protect this rec soccer program, and that because that front part of the Morgan Field that will be impacted is the home of the rec soccer program, which is an excellent program for youth in the village. So key to the success is a school board special meeting that's happening this Thursday at 7:15 p.m. It's at the high school library media center. The purpose of this meeting is twofold: an option to sell real estate to the village government that will match your offer to buy, but secondly, accepting a donation of real property of 3.6 acres to replace the Morgan Field rec soccer site. Through selling the land to the village, we will have adequate resources to transform this new site, as well as to address other associated needs. The contingency to getting this gift is that LIHTC go forward. While per the superintendent, I am not able to give you any more detail about this generous gift, there will be more details available at the Thursday school board meeting. If you folks want to come and join us, I think this effort has been a lot of hard work. It's showed a lot of cooperative working together. And as we're moving this forward and are successful at least getting to the application, I think we should be really proud of the effort that we've made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. I'm looking for Lynn's head. Lynn, what's going on? Lynn Hartman.
Oh.
Did you still want to share?
Well,
Please come to the mic.
Lynn Hardman, citizen, longtime rec soccer volunteer. Just this contingency or the language that was added to the document that I couldn't see. There was a phrase saying athletic, replacement of the athletic or rebuilding of athletic facilities. And I thought since soccer was being displaced, it would be specifically to that. Now that I learned it's a donated land, it would be not just all athletics, but specific to soccer, I would hope, in that language, maybe. Wow. Anyway, that's all I wanted to point out was athletics seemed very broad. It could be a bowling alley.
Yeah. And bowlers are athletes.
I know they are.
Yeah.
So really, is there someone else who wants to say something?
Carmen had a question. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not a question. It's a statement. So there's a lot of stuff that's being thrown around this word diversity. Greene County is 84% white. So what does diversity mean? I mean, we're talking about diversity. What kind of diversity? That's not for this isn't this is in general. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking about. And the other thing is I'm thinking about the person that donated this generous gift. Why? And that's why I voted no. Why would we hold them in a contract for longer than a year with their real property? It doesn't seem. Without considering what the, and I know that there's not any details that can be gotten into, but we have to consider that. And also, it's $40,000, I think, to make application for LIHTC. Is that correct? And that would be the developer, I guess, the developer's cost. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack here. But this diversity word, okay. We live where we live.
Yep.
And we're not importing people from other places. And the second part is, since we do have such a generous and gracious gift, I have a problem with holding someone to that for longer than a 12-month period.
Right. So the extension of this draft November of 2025 was that we would enter into this option to purchase, but it's very likely that the option would expire before we got the money.
Right.
If it was just 12 months from now.
Okay.
So that was my motivation, and that's what we voted on. But it wasn't. I am sensitive to the concerns you bring up, but that's I'm going to say secondary, tertiary.
Right.
But the thing is, okay, somebody hand us a big pile of money, and then we no longer have the option to purchase.
Right.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah.
So it's just out of the abundance of caution to ensure that our extension of the option to purchase goes longer than the actual LIHTC process.
Okay.
Okay? All righty. I think we're ready to vote. Judy, let's do a roll call vote.
And clarity on what we're voting on.
It's the modified purchase option agreement, with the previously stated changes at Section 2C, the new at Section 3, and that other guy.
2E.
Thank you.
All right.
The new 2E with the old E becoming F. Yeah,
Cool.
all of that.
And I think I have them on my list, but can we just review them, Judy?
Yeah, so your term option was changed to continue through June of 2026. You added an additional section to Section 2, and that section becomes E. E becomes that there are option contingencies, and I'm shorthanding this, but one is that there's a LIHTC award made, and the other is that the seller has to prove to the buyer that the seller has obtained the land and can convert that land to athletic fields. So those two contingencies, which Amy will say in a way better fashion, then Section E changed to F because of that, and you dropped in a purchase price of $339,000.
Okay.
Kevin, you have people back here asking if they public comment.
We sort of
Just for clarity.
Yeah.
We already did, but
Hold on.
but go ahead, Gavin.
Just for clarification, we're talking about the end of June, that's what we said, right?
The end of June,
June
the
30th,
end of June
26.
2026, right,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, I presume the public comments are pertinent to this item? All righty. So, because, we're going to go ahead and extend what has become a public meeting on this resolution. So, what we will do is invite those who want to speak to this item to come up and do so. We're going to ask you to be considerate regarding how many folks might be coming up and the fact that we still have other work to do. Judy will be our regular timer. And we ask that you bring unique comments. Please, don't repeat anything else that's already been said. We are taking note of everything that everyone says. So, on that note, I mean, are you stepping to come up? Okay. So we're going to ask, okay, thank you. So we ask that you identify yourself and your affiliation with the Village of Yellow Springs.
Sure. Hi, my name's Relita Hildebrand. I live at 716 South High Street. First of all, I'd like to say that I support having affordable housing in the village and value the socioeconomic diversity of Yellow Springs. I'd also like to preface my remarks by stating that the funds in this discussion and the property in question belong to the taxpayers of the Village of Yellow Springs, with you, the council members, as our proxy. I also want to differentiate between the Home Inc. projects and the people on the Home Inc. board and staff. I respect and appreciate the board and staff of Home Inc., and I think it's important that we all appreciate that we can like the people and support the mission and still not support projects or funding that's not in the best interest right now of the people who pay the taxes and own the properties in question in the Village of Yellow Springs. I am here to ask that the Village Council not support the proposed LIHTC project on the Morgan soccer field site that is currently the property of Yellow Springs Schools on East Enon. We already see where this is going and is not in a direction of integrity and public service that we deserve from our leadership. Let's talk about public service and integrity on our school board. The Save Mills Lawn green space signs are still up in the village, a fact that highlights the hypocrisy of the school board's behavior on this topic. Apparently, it's not okay to develop Mills Lawn green space, which is not exactly an active use, but developing the green space that is actually being used by the high school is all right. In fact, it's such a good idea that our school board has already spent countless hours and over $20,000 of school funding for legal expenses to further the sale of the Morgan soccer fields. No one would be surprised to learn that the school board charter has nothing to do with affordable housing. And any discussion as to the hypothetical gains to the school's population are ludicrous and far-reaching. The school board members who push this forward, despite advice that the school board cannot spend funds on non-education related issues, have demonstrated a decided lack of integrity and have not upheld the responsibilities of public service to this community. The good news is that this council still has the opportunity to uphold the ethos of public service with future decisions on this project. In order for this project to be a win-win for the school and Home Inc., the school needs to have new soccer fields and the enhancement of soccer and baseball fields adjacent to the high school and middle school. Land for this use needs to be acquired and prepared, and the fields need to be built. Without the cost of the land, the cost preparing the land and building the fields is estimated to be over $400,000, $450,000 maybe. The school system doesn't have the funds for the land or building the fields, so if this council decides to go forward, it becomes the responsibility of the village council to set aside funds to make the situation win-win for the schools. It is also the fiscal responsibility to buy the property from the school at the market value, which is higher than the appraised value.
That is 3 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and hope that you will consider further comments on this.
Thank you. Looks like we're doing popcorn.
Hi, my name is Christy Myers. I'm a villager and a parent, and I'm here to ask you to put more money into the LIHTC project. When you consider the cost to purchase Morgan Field, I want you to include the cost to make the school district whole. By making the whole school district whole, I mean making sure the land and any modifications that would need to be made for the land to actually replace soccer fields are covered financially by council and or Home Inc. The LIHTC project was not the school board's idea. Home Inc. and the village came to the school board with this opportunity, and the school board has supported this project under the stipulation that the district will be made whole. Now that we're in the final stages, the weight of making the district whole must not fall on the school board, the school district, children, or their parents. I'm disappointed that Home Inc. hasn't started fundraising for this project. I'm disappointed that we are being asked to fundraise parents at this point. It feels as though this project leaders expect the school or families to not only sacrifice land, but also to come up with the funding to create playable fields. To be clear, families are already fundraising and supplementing athletics, theater, and school activities. A few weeks ago, you were asked for $180,000 for a homing project. What if you put that money toward making the school district whole? And you also secure funding for the rest of the money it would take to create playable fields? What if you delay this vote until you figured out how to make this project make sense for our school district? Because if this is it, if this is our once-in-a-lifetime chance to add affordable housing of this scale to our community, then we absolutely should do it. But it should not be at the cost of village children, present and future. It doesn't make sense for the district to lose in this deal. If this is what is best, then put your money where your mouth is and make the district whole.
Thank you, Christy. Next. I thought I saw someone over here.
A water person?
Yeah, really.
I have a water girl.
I guess one thing.
I mean,
Let's not back and forth, please.
Well, I'm just gonna say, like, I mean, that is, we gotta be honest.
I'm grabbing the gavel.
We're working together.
Yeah, but it's his time, so.
That's fine.
Folks, please, let's be civil.
You know, and part of that then comes down to the fact that even in the contract, it doesn't say that council is going to provide the remedy as far as acquiring the land or providing the improvements for the land. That's put back on the school board again. And the reality is the school board shouldn't be working on this at all. This has been a huge distraction for our school district over the last several months because council has not really taken the lead on this project, and it has been the school district that's been carrying all the water on it. And that's just the simple reality. I mean, we're coming to it now, but, you know, I don't know what land is being offered. We're hearing this 3.6 acres, but where exactly is that? Do we even know if it's contiguous to the school? I'm going to guess it is, but, you know, to me, it's just like we're throwing in this little detail at the end, but not actually providing the meat and potatoes. I don't know. I'd like to see things put up where, from here on out, council is handling this project, and the school district can go back to handling the schools and focusing on our students and not on affordable housing, which is not in their purview whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And so what Brian was referring to is that, you know, this has been a joint effort all along. It's involved council, it's involved, well, village government, it's involved school board. We've gotten great support still from Home Inc. and St. Mary's to sort of answer questions about the process. You know, so let's suffice it to say that it's has been and will continue to be a joint community effort with
Staff.
Acknowledged.
Staff.
Acknowledged.
You know, you've said us, the school board.
Yeah. Well, when I say village government, I didn't say village government. I meant staff.
You're the government.
Yeah.
Staff.
That made me feel important. I'm the government.
You're the government.
So that being said, it's a joint effort. Any additional comments before we? Yep.
Hey, how are you? My name is Mike Chambers. I live at 716 South High Street as well. And just two questions, maybe 2 points. One, I would really like to know how this fits into the larger village plan for affordable housing, and if there is one, where we can go to access it to look at it. Because this feels like a pickup game. And having worked in pretty large acquisition programs in the past, I can tell you, this is not the way you run a railroad. So that's point number one. And point number two is kind of related. We're looking to put in an affordable housing site with which we will not be able to absolutely assure everyone that it's going to be full of children. But if it is, we're putting them in across the street from basically the remnants of a Superfund site and potentially creating a significant traffic problem at the single point of entry, single traffic light entry coming into the village. And I want to know if that's been considered and if those costs have been considered and who picks up the bill for that. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you for your input.
My name is Anita Brown. I live at 106 East Whiteman. I just have one thing that I want to know, and that is if our school board members take an oath when they join the board, and who that oath is to, and who they are swearing or promising to protect and defend, because I don't think that's happening here. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Anita.
I'm Melissa Heston, and I've been a resident of Yellow Springs for 20-plus years, raising 3 kids in our school district. I'm addressing the issue on Morgan Fields. The schools are in a business of education and not affordable housing, and the only reason why we are here talking about this at Village Council meeting tonight is because what I understand started as a great collaborative process among village entities trying to find the best available land for affordable housing. The process got leapfrogged, hijacked, and pushed through by school board president, knowing that in their position that they could legally override the wishes and vision of the school district superintendent and managed to obtain votes on the board to do so. And this is why I'm here. And I ask you council members, is this the way we want to do business in our community? Overriding by any means necessary the wishes of our district's superintendent's vision for school land assets. The schools in the villages are currently struggling to provide adequate social service infrastructure to care for those who we already have, students, families, adults housed and precariously housed. This is a cart before the horse situation. This is not strategic, this is tactical, and our efforts need to be to take care of these fellow villagers in a tactical way to build a robust social service infrastructure before we extend ourselves and our teachers and our staff and village. Also, this proposed location is pretty far from these services. I don't think it's the best location, and why should we want a developer to choose that location for us? I think we can decide where that location is best, and I really think that the residents who would be renting that location should decide. I'm also aware of large capital campaigns in the process or soon to be in the process from our local nonprofits. We all know who those big nonprofits are, and they are in the 200,000 3 whatever million of buildings that have yet to be built in the next few years. Where, with all these funds, where are these funds going to come from to support all of these very worthy campaigns? Will we be overextending ourselves in this village? Let's work together strategically and plan manageable, affordable housing for a village of our size with an adequate social service infrastructure and a fundraising plan prior to going through this process. I also urge the village to don't let the schools carry the burden of this transition. We've already seen what it's cost us in legal fees, and other fees. On top of that, we see more fees, and we really need to make the transition costs of the land, if you choose to go through with this, whole plus, meaning adequate to today's current standard athletic field. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. So it appears to be warm in here, and I know staff have opened a couple of windows over here on this side of the room, so if it's warm back there, you all feel free to crack a window or two.
Yeah, Mark, open that window. Don't make Terry do it.
Yeah, Marianne. Village Manager Burns stepped out to do some moderation on the thermostat.
Mary Ann McQueen, and I've lived in the village for over 50 years. I'd like to comment on some of the things that have been said just in this meeting. There is precedent for public bodies to sell or to use property for affordable housing. The village either donated or sold property for Green Meadow on Quarry Street. The village sold property to Home Inc. on Cliff Street. There is precedent to do that for a public purpose, which we have identified affordable housing as being. As far everything that I have heard, and I've been fairly much on top of this, is that the plan going forward is to make the soccer program whole and to make the schools whole, with a gift valued at, well, I'm not sure, whatever, of the 3 whatever acres to for the new soccer field, certainly should be able to create a soccer field equal to or better than what already exists. It is in the interests of the schools to have more students, and the projections, unless we do have more housing for families with children, is that we will be losing children. It is in the schools to have more children. And doing this project is, yes, it would be great to have some housing plan in which everything was A, B, C, but that is not how it works for affordable housing. This was a once-in-a-decade opportunity, and if we take it, if we don't take it, we lose it. There was a housing assessment done that indicated what the needs were in terms of housing, and this project would fulfill part of that housing assessment. So that has been done. As far as Vernay property goes, only the eastern part has had the pollution. The western part, frankly, could have housing on it, and I hope it would at some time. But regardless of whatever it has, it will be developed once yes, I have studied this. I'm quite aware of this, what's happened. Carmen, at least listen to me and please don't make those.
Just
I'm listening. You can.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But yeah.
Go ahead. My bad.
That whole area of that western area of Yellow Springs is going to be developed. The property to the west of the schools will be developed. The property to the south will be developed. Hopefully something will happen on Vernay. That whole area is going to be developed, and when that happens, that building will be part, assuming it happens, will be part of that development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So we are fielding comments regarding the resolution that we have yet to vote on. So any other additional comments on the option to purchase resolution? Ooh, gosh, we got a lot of helpful folks. We got halls, water. I love it. Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica Thomas, resident and parent of a toddler who may go to Yellow Springs schools. I will keep it short and sweet. I think that council should pass this resolution. I think that there are many of us who have worked really hard to try to get this to becoming a reality. I have had meetings with people who say that they are for affordable housing, and I think that, first of all, it's a little disingenuous to say that at first we need replacement soccer fields, and then we need replacement soccer fields plus, and now it's athletic fields across the board. I also think, well, no, I don't think, I know that when we talk about diversity, it is not just, we're not just talking about racial diversity, we're talking about socioeconomic diversity, diversity in gender and sexuality, diversity in ability levels. All of those things are important for a thriving community, and I would like to see all of those things addressed through housing that supports all kinds of people, not just people who can afford $500,000 houses. Finally, I think that it's been very enlightening to hear some of the comments this evening about how this community can fundraise. Recently, hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised to protect land from development. I wonder if we could have that same vigor and generosity towards affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And a comment that Jessica made reminded me as I was saying this was a joint effort. I don't believe I mentioned the grassroots efforts that have been going on to help bring about awareness, raise and donate dollars. So it truly has, in most respects, been a community effort. Alrighty. Anything else on the option to purchase? Uh-oh.
I'll let you go first, and I'll
Yep.
I'm your opening act, Mac. My name is Angie Shu. I'm a resident of the village. I spoke at the last council meeting, and I'll just quickly summarize something that I do think it's important to reiterate, is that affordable housing is also for people who are already a part of our community and are critical to our community, who have been a part of our community and were not able to stay, people who are here every day. Because I know sometimes we talk about the people who are coming and we don't know who they are, but I'm happy to list people I know who are looking for that opportunity. Something else that just came up to me impromptu, so this is not scripted or practiced, is when I moved to the village, we didn't have kids. We chose the village because it's a place where we wanted to have kids, and we have 2, and our 3rd will be coming in April. Part of the conversation that's happening tonight is why we are excited to live here, that there is an active, passionate conversation about the children, about education, about the school board, and also about affordable housing. We moved here when the levy was deep in its happenings, and as a person who has always been committed to community engagement, I was very scared, and I did not want to be a part of village conversations. In fact, I said, I will work everywhere outside of Yellow Springs, and this will only be my social life. So I am nervous standing up here, and I know that I am disagreeing with friends and colleagues and neighbors, but I also deeply feel like we have the potential to be creative and find effective solutions. And you can call that naive, and you can call that ignorant, and I do think I have a lot to learn about the school board and the education system. I have not spent a lot of time doing that since our oldest just turned 5, but I am excited too. I also do not think it needs to be zero-sum, and I think if we can prioritize supporting LIHTC. A lot of people are here saying we are supporting our kids and the school district and the schools. That is all possible. So I encourage you to vote to allow this process to continue. And I do feel heartened by a lot of the conversation happening tonight, and I still feel a little scared. But I do really support affordable housing, and do feel like there's a lot of support for children in the school district, and those. It's not a zero-sum game. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, and congratulations, since we did the reveal here.
It works.
Apparently, you're more comfortable in the public than you knew. Come on up, please. Oh, traffic jam.
Good evening, y'all. My wife is texting me and telling me what to say. Hold on. I would like to address the entirety of this room.
For those that don't know you, please.
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Matt Raska. I live here. And I have 1 kid, and it's my pretty wife over there. I would actually like to address the entirety of this room, and I kind of want to put a strategic idea in your heads. We don't live in a vacuum. We live in an America that's becoming increasingly hostile to otherness. And people that are other are not necessarily particularly wealthy or the people in the room making decisions. But by building this LIHTC project, we open our doors to a safe place.
Matt,
to address the...
Yeah, it's for the folks outside the room to hear you. You need to speak into the mic.
We open our doors to a safe place for them to live. The Haitians of Springfield, among others, come to mind. We as a community have on the table an opportunity to make good as a community on our commitment to the often abstract greater good. In this case, the greater good takes the very concrete form of shelter in a community that I would say most of you regard as safe, welcoming, and comfortable. And therefore, I think that since we have it in front of us, we should take this opportunity to vote for the Cascades, vote for the LIHTC project, triple the amount of affordable housing we have in town, and make a difference in not just our community, but the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
My name is Asa Duffy. I used to be a villager. I lived in the village for the past couple years, but just a month and a half ago, I moved away. I moved to Springfield because it's so much more affordable. My rent is less than half of what it was in Yellow Springs. And so I just want to come up here. I want to echo what Angie said, that there are so many people who love this village, who want to live here. I would like to raise a family here, but I don't know that that's possible unless we address affordable housing in this community. So I would like to say I support the council continuing to move forward with the LIHTC project. And also, I really appreciate this community coming together to have this conversation, and also the council working with the school board to move forward on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Asa.
Hi, my name is Amy Bailey. I am a school board member, but speaking on behalf of myself this evening. Affordable housing, well, first I want to preface by saying thank you for 339. I appreciate that. Affordable housing is not within the purview of the school district. We cannot be held responsible for costs to recreate assets to accommodate a council responsibility. The schools wouldn't be screaming from the rooftops to make us whole if we could do it ourselves. If council didn't agree to make us whole, who did? Who else has the funding to make us whole? If you can ensure new fields are made of equal access and quality, I'm sure the entire community would be behind this. But if you're able to do so, please don't take away resources we already have. As Homink stated on November 4th, we are not interested in moving forward with one objective at the expense of another. As of today, no specific numbers are known to make that happen, and you're committing to a dollar amount that we all know will end up being several $100,000. Our school board has spent over $20,000 of non-board approved district money to fund this project, outside of the $35,000 plus council has contributed, with plenty more to come. I know you already have other high priority unfunded projects. This adds additional strain. You will then have the school district and Homink knocking on your door for money. I just ask that you please don't make promises to our children that you can't keep. Responsible planning doesn't include committing to a project with unknown costs. If this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, make it work. But if you can't, please make the most responsible decision to our community. Some may say my thoughts don't align with the majority of our board, but someone has to represent the children of our district. That was what I was elected to do. Whatever is decided tonight is done. There's no going back after you commit yourselves to buying our land for housing. The youngest voices who will be impacted the most are not able to speak. And if they're at practice anyway. 339 is now the budget the schools have. I would like to know what is yours. I ask that you consider including that language into the contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Additional comment? Oh, whoa, yes.
Just
Kevin.
saying, Kevin, whenever it's appropriate.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. Just so I understand the process, so I assume the contingency that we put in made it so that if the funds that are provided for the sale, the 339, are not sufficient after more work is done to figure out the land situation. Obviously, we don't have a lot of details at this point with the gift, but that if there was additional funds that were needed, that then it's possible that conversation could come up again in the future. And I think I'm on the record on this previously, but I'm certainly open to the idea of us figuring out how to continue to support investing in this project to make it happen. So, but I'm just assuming that that's not something we're figuring out tonight, because the contingency assumes the schools have to say that it's worked, and that if they don't have the money, that then they could come back and say, hey, can you help invest in this? Or in the same way that Antioch School did, there could be other outside fundraising to see if there was if there was support for the additional funds that are needed. Kevin, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. We will be involved in conversations until the bitter end of this project. It will end one way or the other, and we will be there.
Sorry. I want to add something that no one has brought up yet, and that is the LIHTC funding itself. We don't have as much power as everybody thinks we have. The school board doesn't have as much power. Home Inc. doesn't have as much power. We are beholden to the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, $40,000 to make application, and then a whole bunch of other people are going to apply. So I don't want to lose sight of that. We're doing what we said we were going to do. But the sale of the land is contingent on whether or not these funds are granted. Like, this is all, and I want everybody to keep that in mind.
So are you ultimately saying, like, I mean, they make the deal?
I said what
Right.
I said.
I mean, I think that makes sense to me. I mean,
I just wanted to make sure that everybody was keeping that on the front of their.
Yeah, and while we're on points, thank you for that, Carmen. While we're on points of clarification regarding OFA, someone did submit that this location might not have been the best. Again, OFA. Housing Finance Agency has some magic rubric that says it's our $15 million. We'll give it to you if you develop in these places. Don't know how they do that,
Kerwin
but
Institute.
That's the way it is. Alrighty.
so are we at a point where we can say, like, I mean, I feel very confident that the school board is on top of what their obligations are. And, we're moving forward with our piece. So, and I think we've gotten some great feedback, but, at the end of the day, like, we are going to make sure that all those guarantees are happening. So,
I don't know what guarantees you're referring to, but we're not making any guarantees that are not documented. We are going to vote in just a little while, and it's been council's position that we would keep this process going until it made sense not to. So again, I don't want to. Someone said, "Don't make promises you can't keep." So we started with legal fees, and then that morphed into one thing or another, but we're not too far from the lane we started in. So, and Brian, do apologize for interrupting you, but I didn't want to.
You didn't interrupt me. I think, our decision is pretty clear, right?
Yep. We're gonna. Yep.
So, I mean, I appreciate all the feedback, but I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we're doing what we decided we would do.
Absolutely. And I'd really like to do that in the next minute or so. So is there anyone else who wants to share information that has not been shared already regarding the resolution that's on the table? Please identify yourself and share your relationship to the village.
Yep. Good evening. My name is Kumar Jensen. I grew up in Yellow Springs, and I'm a current resident. And I just wanted to say I'm really excited about both of these things moving forward. And so the prospect of both having affordable housing in town, a large development, excites me just for the myriad of opportunities that presents, both for people coming into our community, but also for us. I love having new neighbors. I love getting to meet new people, and that feels to me like this feels like an opportunity to do that. And as someone who grew up playing on lots of these fields, some graded, some not, some that had money put into them, many that did not. I know it's a tough road, but I'm also excited about the opportunity to have fields that are built for the purposes that kids are getting to use them for. And so I don't I know this is a tough conversation, but to me, it's also very exciting because it represents this opportunity to do two things that are really needed in this community. So I'm excited that both public entities are working together. I know it's weird and some of this seems kind of unconventional and whatever, but also it's good. It's a good sign, right? So just wanted to thank everyone who's been thinking about this and trying to work on it, because I do think these are both really good opportunities for the community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I'm just going to bust in because I've got to say, there should be some excitement around this. Hello, we checked off, all the benchmarks. Can we not at least, I understand, there's, nickeling and diming, but I think we should be, proud and happy, and we're delivering on our village values. So anyway, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, Michael.
Michael Brown, I live at 106 East Whiteman Street, been a resident here for 34 years. I think we all agree that affordable housing is very important. I think we all agree that it will build diversity in so many different ways, especially the comment about socioeconomic diversity. But what I'm wondering about is the process. The school board has a fiduciary responsibility to get the most for that land. And an appraised value of $339 seems very low to me. And what if there's another bidder? I don't know, but I would think that their responsibility is to have this be open bidding. And what if somebody bids over that? That's my question, and thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Question.
Intrigue. Anyone else want to speak to this resolution before we vote on it? Yes.
Hi, I'm Seibel, Yellow Springs Home Inc. I just wanted to reiterate what we've said throughout this process, which is we are only interested in a win-win, and we applaud everyone to have the courage to continue moving this project forward in good faith. And we are here to support you, and we appreciate these efforts. I did just want to make a couple of notes based on what folks were saying. One is that kind of the idea that this housing shouldn't go there because we don't have enough resources to take care of folks who need social services or who are precariously housed now. This kind of reminds me, it goes back to the editorial that you wrote, Carmen. I think that it's making a lot of implicit assumptions about the people who live in affordable housing and what kinds of services they need. I think that is a conversation that we can expand upon as this moves forward. And then I also wanted to just state that we have there is a strategic plan. There's a 5-year housing plan that the village voted on, and this certainly meets that plan. And so I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but it is closely aligned with, I believe it's down 500 units of housing over 5 years. And it very closely aligns with the 2018 Housing Needs Assessment, which shows an active demand and a gap of, I think, over 200 units, by far the biggest gap in Yellow Springs housing for persons who are making under $50,000 a year, and then also a bracket for folks making under $75,000 a year. So the data is there. I just wanted to reiterate that, and I'm happy to pull any additional information that would be helpful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. I don't see anyone else popping up.
Let's have a vote. It's starting to get into issues that are a bit beyond an option to purchase, and we still have citizen concerns.
You're right, which I hope you heard some of already. So the public hearing, as such, is closed. Judy, if you could call the roll on this modified resolution.
All right. Hausch.
Yes.
Gustafson.
No.
I need some clarification. We already voted on the extending the.
Yep.
Okay, then I was a no.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. DeBoer Leonard.
Yes.
Brown.
For the potential, the purchase. Yeah.
Purchase option, yes. Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shoot. I don't even know what's next. My computer's shutting down.
Citizen concerns.
Oh, no. Surely you jest.
Oh, no, I don't.
Well, like you said, we handled most of them.
Yep,
So,
yep. Thank you for the folks who have contributed and are stepping out. Just ask you to step out as quietly as possible. Now we're at the part of the agenda, folks.
Yeah, keep in mind we can't close the door, so any discussions downstairs would be great.
So now we're at thank you, Jenny. Citizen concerns. This is where usually you'd.
Any comment on anything is here and nowhere else.
All right, you got it.
Okay, Jessica Thomas, Villager. My concern is with the way that council chooses when to hear citizen comments, particularly in the budget discussion earlier in the meeting. I think that as someone who has observed council meetings ever since I lived here, council presidents have used that discretion in different ways, and I was really disappointed that council decided not to take comments on the budget this evening, particularly as a person who had to secure childcare to be able to be here this evening. It is not always possible for everybody to come out, and you not only had filled every seat in the room, but you have people watching the meeting in the hallway. I think that I would appreciate it if council would come up with a strict procedure around resolutions, around first readings specifically, on when to take public comments, so that there's a hard and fast rule that is followed in every single meeting. And since it was a part of the budget, but we weren't able to speak to it, I am going to break the rule and talk about the Cascades. I think that we should be supporting this project in some way, shape, or form. I think that Home Inc. has showed us that they are able to leverage the dollars that that council and other donors and lenders give them. As a person who is affiliated with a nonprofit, no, we do not always have every dime secured before we begin a project, and that is part of being a nonprofit. The council does not always have every dollar secured when they go for a project. That's why you all apply for grants. And if we consider the Cascades and we consider Home Inc. requests as grants, they are actually things that we are getting a huge return on our investment, as far as $180,000, $90,000, whatever. So I encourage council to revisit that when they bring it to a second reading. I'm interested in hearing lots of public comments, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, Marianne.
I want to talk in general about affordable housing in Yellow Springs. I've had a varied career, if one might say that. I've been a cook, I've been a carpenter, I've been a school bus driver, I've worked in medical research, and I taught junior high. Not for long. But I have to tell you that working in affordable housing, which I did for, 10, 15 years, is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And a couple years into working for Home Inc., when we had one loss after another, I said to Susan Stiles, who was the director of Green Met Housing, I said, "Is it always this hard?" And she said, "Yes." I'm saying this because unless you have worked in this field, especially in this town, you may not appreciate how hard it is. It's like, is it Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill? You know, you push the boulder up the hill, and the next day you come back and it's down at the bottom of the hill. And you're lucky if you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, because a lot of times you take 2 steps forward and you take 3 steps back. So every time the Home Inc., in this case, comes to Village Council, in this case, for funding, and you get a no, and there's a no, I just want you to understand how much work has gone in to getting to that place, to going back again. Now, when Kamala Harris was running for President of the United States, she put housing on the agenda, the federal agenda. I haven't heard that from our president-elect. Assuming that the federal government is not going to be promoting affordable housing, it's going to be even more important that we support it at the local level. There was a letter in the paper recently that was critical of Home Inc. They said that it didn't have enough staff, they didn't have relationships with big developers. The second of that is incorrect. I'm not going to comment on whether they have enough staff. But the third thing she said was they were underfunded. Well, yeah, they are underfunded, and you show me an affordable housing organization that's not underfunded. They don't exist. Because in order to build affordable housing, you have to generate 50 to 80% of your budget by coming to village government or coming to the state or the Federal Home Bank or whomever. It's such hard work. So I just want you to remember that when you're voting, remember a no vote is back to the drawing board and back to the drawing board and back to the drawing board and back to the drawing board.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Mark Carr. I moved to the village just in time for COVID. And live in Park Meadows. This is kind of a process point, not could relate to any particular project or another, but a lot of reports and plans, et cetera, on which council and other organizations depend or on which they hang their hats were prepared before COVID and before this period of inflation that we've gone through and are still in. And a lot of people's intentions changed during that period, and a lot of cost bases changed during that period. And I suggest that continuing to rely on those documents and those plans, even though they are, as Judy pointed out to me, they are long-term plans, and they are, in the case of the comprehensive land use plan, et cetera. Nonetheless, when you try to get more specific than the plans anticipate, and especially that they were all drawn up pre-COVID and pre-inflation, I think you're setting yourself up for making decisions that aren't based on what's going on in the community, in the county, in the country now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
My name is Joanna Raines, and I've lived in the village for a little over 3 years now. And I actually was able to purchase a home through Home Inc., and it changed my life. So I support the Cascades, especially if that's going for older people. You know, maybe it'll be easier for them. We push old people aside, you know, and put them in nursing homes. And, you know, if it's something that can be beneficial to help, you know, support the older population and everyone, I support that. Because for me, a single mom raising 2 girls, I wouldn't have been able to live here any other way. I looked at the housing prices, and I just happened to come across the house that was undervalued in Yellow Springs on Cemetery Street, and it led me down this path that I was able to eventually purchase a home in the Glen Cottage development. And I feel like I won the lottery, and I feel like that should be attainable for more people than just myself. I think that, if it means anything, if I can stand up here and say that I support that, if I'm doing a little bit or having my voice heard, I appreciate that, and I think I'd love it here. I've always loved coming to visit here, and the safety that I feel with my kids. Well, one of them's grown now. She's moved out, and she doesn't live in Yellow Springs anymore, so because she can't afford it. So I think that if a unit comes available, it's a lottery system, and the waiting lists are long. I don't come from a family of a lot of money. I work hard. I do my job. I raise my kids with good values, and I love living here. But I don't think that I think that it should be attainable for more people. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Raines. Appreciate that.
And what you said means a lot. Thank you.
I want to speak up on behalf of returning children of Yellow Springs, of which it sounds ironic, but I consider myself one. I grew up in town. I was an Antioch faculty child in the very early 60s. My parents taught at Mills Lawn and Antioch College, raised me and my brother. I've gone other places many times and always wanted to return and been able to return. Did I say my name is Sam Eckenrode?
We'll give you a pass. We'll give you a pass this time, Sam.
So I've worn a lot of hats in town. I've been on the Antioch faculty, been on the Antioch College staff. I've owned a bookstore for over 25 years. I resisted being a realtor for 30 years, watching my mom be a realtor. And then for the past 20 years, I've been a realtor. And one of the most heartbreaking parts of my job is having people call and say, I love Yellow Springs. I've always loved Yellow Springs. I really want to come back to Yellow Springs. Can't find a place to rent. Can't find a room to rent. Can't find a place to buy. My parents actually experienced that in '57 when they came. It took them 2 years of searching and trying to find a place to either rent or buy, and they finally had to build in what was then the newest development in the North End, which is now Fair Acres, which is a lovely established part of Yellow Springs, but at the time it was very controversial because, oh my God, it's going to be all kinds of outsiders coming in, and the character of the village is going to change, and now it's just an established part of the village. But in my time, since '62, when I first arrived here, I've seen the village expand and also contract, and it's contracted a lot. We're now down to about 3,700 people, and we just don't have anywhere near enough housing in general. And we talk a lot about affordable housing, which is very important. I'm very pro-affordable housing, but I just wanted to say I'm categorically pro-housing, because often it feels like I'm a participant and sometimes a referee in this frantic game of musical chairs, and there are always more people who want to play than there are chairs. And so I'm speaking out categorically in favor of recognizing the need for housing, because if we don't recognize that need, it's like a root-bound plant. We're gonna die of other causes.
Thank you, Sam.
My name is Tanya Moss, and I live in the village. My partner and I have been here for 11 years. We are fortunate to be in the 75,000 and below bracket. What I mean is in the sort of the 60 to 75,000 range, and a lot of that becomes a product of our whiteness and our privilege to be in that range, and we know that there's so many people who struggle so much more than we do. At the same time, we are month to month in this village. We don't have significant debt, but yet we're month to month paying $800 a month in mortgage, plus many other costs. We have a son. And so it's not an easy road here. We are deeply committed to this place, and we know we are working to understand, where we are situated in terms of our privilege in this community, both in our white bodies and in relation to other people. I'm deeply supportive of public housing. I know it's not perfect. I know there's so many problems. I appreciated Ms. Brown's editorial in the paper looking for a better solution than we have. And I know that should be voiced, and I know that's the ideal, but at the same time, the crisis feels so real and imminent, and we aren't making room for all of those other people who need to come into our space to make the community vibrant and living and growing and to teach us how to be human with each other. So,
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya. Sure.
Hello, my name is Matt Raska. I just have a very brief thought. If you put $180,000 in, you'll get 1.5 approximately, according to the news. I'm just saying, an 8 to 1, you would call NPR if the matching grants said they'd make your dollars $8 for $1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Is this on?
It is.
My name is Alexandra Scott. I am the Outreach and Fundraising Manager at Yellow Springs Home Inc., but tonight I am speaking as a private citizen. I just wanted to point out a couple of important things in this discussion. I want to speak to the budget consideration for the Cascades. I want to remind everyone present that Yellow Springs Home Inc. already pays upwards of $100,000 in property taxes every year, and that the completed Cascades development will bring in additional property tax dollars to the village of Yellow Springs. I also want to remind folks that a layer of local funding is necessary and can be leveraged to obtain funds, especially from state funding. That's what Matt was getting at there. For phase 1, the village supported the Cascades to the tune of about $150,000, including tap fee waivers, and that allowed us to leverage that funds to receive $1.4 million from the Ohio Housing Finance Agency to support phase 1 of this project. That's more than 10 times the contribution, and many such grants require municipal support to make an application competitive. Village council members are elected because community members are trusting you to act in the best interest of our community and to listen to and represent your constituents. I urge you to keep the best interests of this community in mind and support affordable housing. Personally, as somebody who has been looking for over a year to buy a home in Yellow Springs, to be able to stay here, I've lived here for over 12 years. I want to be in a community that values people like me, that values people like the people that I love in this village. I want to be in a community that lives its values and doesn't just speak them, and I'm hoping that that kind of community will win out in these discussions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Dino?
Hello, Dino Pilato. Brian, thank you for the brownies.
They're good, huh?
They're good. However, having said that, I was an onlooker at the November 4th council meeting. I wasn't here. Staff had thoroughly researched and strongly recommended not to fund the Home Inc.'s request for $180,000 with respect to the Cascades project. However, at 32 minutes and 40 seconds mark of the meeting regarding recommendations, you were quoted as saying, quote, "I think it's going to be more useful to hear from folks that are really have more knowledge," close quote, with respect to that request and what staff had just recommended. That didn't go over very well to me. And I took it personally, maybe it's just me taking it personally, that this was almost a slap at the face at staff. I believe you may owe staff an apology for that comment. You all have tasked this staff unbelievably over the last year with LIHTC project, Cascades project, and justifiably so, it's within your right. Staff has become more than just experts of these projects that you've assigned them on a day-to-day basis. They are heavily invested in these projects, as has been determined by all the time and energy, along with the taxpayer dollars spent to work on these projects. Again, the soft dollar costs are huge. Furthermore, during 2018 through 2023, Mr. Burns was the Public Works Director and was involved with the Cascades project since its inception. He intimately knows the details of this project. Again, for you to make those comments, it just slapped with disrespect. I mean, that's, again, it's the way I took it. And I felt for staff in that respect. It just didn't look good. It just wasn't a good look. But lastly and most importantly, when you ask for the other folks with more knowledge, we wouldn't be in this position right now if things were done properly in the first place. And having said that, I just wish that you would extend the courtesy of extending an apology to these guys, because I think they deserve it for what they do, for the time they put in, for the efforts they put in for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dino.
All right, so Kevin, I mean, I think we got to start pulling, like, when we are attacked, that I should be able to say something. So I will say this.
Well, I don't think that was an attack.
I'm sorry. So I will say.
Feel free to respond since your name.
Yes. So I am happy to pull that recording out because my comments have always clearly been in support of our staff and our team. And so, I get a little bit frustrated. I mean, Dino, you are great at cherry picking and like pulling out pieces that you think are appropriate.
Let's not make it personal.
I think, this is like a common thing that keeps on happening. And so we'll pull out the recording and we'll talk about that, but that has not ever been like what I've been doing like around our like staff. And so I think that's, we gotta stop like this narrative.
Brian, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. It's folks.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Let's stay on task here.
No, in the recording.
I came back to say one positive thing before I have another comment, critical comment. The positive thing I wanted to say was thank you to the Public Works Department for all the work they did to help after we had so much damage in the village, coming by and picking up debris. It was a nice, actually a very nice neighborly thing that happened. People reminded each other, helped each other, gathered the brush and everything, and I thought it was a very nice thing for the village to do. So I know it costs more money, but I appreciate that very much, and I know our neighbors do as well. And then the last thing I didn't get a chance to say before because my time was out was the difference between the appraised value and the market value of the land that we're talking about. And so I get that you want to buy it for the appraised value, and I understand that. I do think, though, that when you sell it, I would consider selling it at market value. And I would also consider opening it up to being considered for purchase by other entities. Again, I think you are stewards of the taxpayers' land. This land belongs to the taxpayers of Yellow Springs, and I think it behooves us all to take advantage of the market value of that land, not just the appraised value when it comes to selling it. And finally, I would say on the Cascades project, that just looking at it from a construction loan perspective, if I got a construction loan from a bank and I didn't satisfy phase 1 of my project, and I went back to the bank and asked for more money for phase 2 of the project because I didn't satisfactorily budget or complete phase 1, the bank would not give me money for that. So it's just a thought that I concur with the board, the council's perspective on not going forward with the 180 and not going forward with the 90 until such a time as that situation is adjudicated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So we're still open for public citizen concerns?
Good evening. Chris Bongiorno. I'm a village resident and the Home Inc. board president. I'm just going to pick up from where I left off during the last council meeting, where I expressed a real desire to have an opportunity to have further discussion with you about the budget request from Home Inc. for the Cascades Phase 2. Council President, you said that we could expect the conversation to keep going, and I look forward to that happening. I was respectful this evening, as I think our executive director was, of your desire to not have discussion during that portion of the agenda, but I do hope we can find the appropriate time, whether it's with staff and our executive committee or some other assortment, to have that conversation, staff on both sides, the village staff and Home Inc. staff, so we can get all the details clarified, because again, we understand this is a request, we understand there are a lot of competing priorities, but we want to reemphasize that the contribution at the local level is very important. That's why we keep coming back. When we talk about the leveraging of dollars, again, that phase 1 support was the equivalent of about 3% of the overall project budget. That phase is under construction right now. I see it every day, and I'm very proud of that. That's not to underestimate or understate the value of that local contribution in the view of the other larger dollar amount providers and those outside funders. I think it's also important to emphasize that Home Inc. has been doing this for 25 years. We've been building capacity and scale over those 25 years, and as far as I know, we have never fallen short of delivering on what we promise. We've made good use, fiduciary responsibility of any dollars we raise, and I think that holds true to any dollars that the village has offered to support in our projects. I also don't think we've ever asked for operational support. A lot of nonprofits ask the public sector for operational support. We've never done that, to my knowledge. We're asking for capital support to go into a specific capital project. In this case, it's the phase 2 of the Cascades project. And I'm confident in this organization and being responsible and delivering on the promise of affordable housing for people of low to moderate incomes in this community. So I think it's just to reiterate, I want to find that opportunity to talk and have that conversation before a final decision is made on that budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Any other? Thank you.
Hi, Brittany Keller. I'm at Yellow Springs Home Inc., and I guess I would be speaking as a member or a staff member of Home Inc. I'm not going to talk about the merits of our planning or our budgeting or our project in general. I just wanted to speak to the people that I'm talking to on the phone who are looking for housing. So we have 14 units in the village right now. I've been at Home Inc. for 9 years, and we've had 3 turnovers in that time. So no one's moving out of these units, okay? We have people calling every week, probably anywhere between 2 and 5 people I have a phone conversation with every week. They aren't able to wait for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years for something to finally materialize. These are people who are either from here, they have family here, they're living here now, their landlords are selling their houses from underneath them, they're getting their rents raised, and they really just don't have time to be waiting around for a perfect project. So I'm just encouraging everyone to think of the people that are waiting for these units behind all the discussion about soft costs and planning and tap fees and things like that. And there are people that are really, really waiting behind this. So thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jay Williams. I live on Whitehall Drive. I was born here in '51 and moved to Cincinnati for a job in '74, but I was always in and out of town. You know, it's only an hour from here. I remember growing up is that the integration of the town and the word diversity, which is a buzzword. You could be, have a really nice house. I grew up on North High Street with with folks with a little bit more money than you had, and right next door, there was a very elderly couple that lived in a carriage house. So everything was all integrated. And what I've seen since I've been back is the 4 Coaches place over there. We used to call that Fat City. And that was very affordable. A lot of young people leaving the home could get an apartment there. And there's also that area over on Center College Street. That is kind of like the same format. It looks very much the same. But that, of course, the people that used to live in that Fat City a long time ago they couldn't touch it now. And there's some places I've seen that look pretty run down that could use some building up. And rather than taking what we've got in the city, in the town, in the village, that needs a little work, and keep those houses at the same level financially so that somebody else can move in there rather than jacking it up so high to attract more high-income people. You know, we're becoming more segregated in terms of finances. You know, we're almost making a ghetto. You know, this is the first time I've ever heard of the Cascades. My idea of the Cascades was the waterfall in the Glen, so I'm going to educate myself what this is. But it's like one of my sisters is going to have to sell the property over on Wright Street. That, you know, we've been there for generations. And, you know, why constantly all these upgrades to the point where, you know, we can't even, our own residents can't even afford to live there. It's just keep it at the same level. There's no reason for all this hiking up, attracting more high-income people. And then when you're low income, you have to go live over there. It sounds like the projects in the big city. And I don't think we want to... Our town has a tradition of being very integrated and diversified, and it's almost like we're separating ourselves. When you're poor, you're going to go live over there, and when you're wealthy, you can live in the center of town. That's the hot spot, you know. So I just want to bring up that, you know, my suggestion is that when we have some residents that need some work in the city, you know, keep it at the same level so that you can get a family in there, rather than, you know, building it up to it ends up looking like the four coaches. You know, keep it at the same level. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments. Excuse me. Any other citizen concerns? Yes, sir.
Okay, Tom Dagenhart, resident, and I'm going to speak to a thing that's coming up later. You've got an application for the new student union, or the old student union development. They're going for RC high-density zoning. Right now, the code allows 14 units per acre for high density. That will allow for about 30 units on the whole site. They're asking for 128. So they're asking for more than 4 times what zoning would allow. So that's not leeway, that's abuse, I think. Zoning code allows for 3 stories, they've got 4 stories. All of them involve stairs, so there's no ADA units in this building either. Code requires 2 parking spaces per unit. They have less than 1. So, you know, they're way under in that, way over for density, way under for parking. They have indicated that remote parking may be an option if they were to buy the Fells building. That, you know, they don't own the Fells building. Nobody wants to park remotely. And the zoning code is, if remote parking is provided, it has to be within 300 feet of the property. Fells is over 500 feet from the student union building. So, not an option. Parking lots, according to the code, must have 1 tree per 10 spaces inside the parking lot. They have no trees inside the parking lot. So we're going to lose spaces if we follow code for that. So they say 107 on the plan. We're really maybe 100 once you take out ADA spaces and dumpsters. Now you're going to take out spaces for trees. We're down to probably 90 spots for 250, where there should be 256. One of the things in the PUD code states, part of the purpose is to minimize adverse traffic impacts. Tell me how people with 200 plus cars fighting for less than 100 spots is not going to create an adverse traffic impact. Part of the code for PUD is to complement surrounding areas. This does not complement surrounding areas. According to the PUD, they must have at least 15% dedicated for green space. That would be 14,175 square feet for this development. According to their plans, they have 6,870. So they're less than half of the green space that is required for PUD planning. One of the things in the PUD things is it says PUD is not being used as a means to circumvent conventional zoning requirements. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to circumvent conventional zoning requirements. Also part of the PUD application, just one more thing, because this is the most important. It says that they shall identify in writing all intended deviations from the zoning requirements. They have not done that. They've not submitted that verbally or in writing. So in effect, this is an incomplete application, and I think legally you have no other option than to reject it. It's an incomplete application. They have not provided what they are required to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Yes, Emily. I know.
Thank you. Emily Seibel here, Director of Yellow Springs Home Inc. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about our Cascades Phase 2 funding request. It is disturbing to me that this has become a referendum of sorts on whether or not your staff are experts or we're experts. I think there's absolutely no question that your staff are experts. We have appreciated all of the support and all of the help from Choice One Engineering, from Johnny Burns, from Meg Leatherman, and we started this value engineering process back in April. There is a letter from our engineering firm in your packet. It talks about all of the different things that we looked at as we were trying to make sure that we can absorb this stormwater management cost. And as a result, we were able to save $164,322 out of Phase 1, which helped absorb some of that cost. And then we revisited the budgets for Phases 2 and 3. We're able to spread all of that cost out across those phases, as well as Phase 1. And then we identified a funding source out of Washington, D.C., actually, their capital magnet funds, to give a low-interest loan so that we can control costs and do everything at once rather than having to phase it out, which it would be more expensive. So I think we've been working with the village staff as partners through this process. That's been my interpretation of how the months from April through July went as we were having these conversations. And then Johnny, I think we agreed in our last meeting, sit-down meeting together, that this larger funding request should come before council. So to me, the most important thing right now is that we're just inviting a conversation to identify a reasonable amount of funds to address staff concerns while not compromising the project. Because we really count on a local layer of funding to be able to go to the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. And $180,000 that we requested is the gap in Phase 2 between the total development cost, which falls under the funding limits per unit issued by our funders, and how we can make sure that it's going to be affordable for an initial 15-year period. We do think that we might be able to carve out a little bit more money by lowering the debt coverage ratio to the absolute lowest level in years 1 through 15. So that might be able to reduce our request a little bit. We're open to talking about loaning some of our own funds to the project, but we are really counting on this conversation to continue, because if we don't have all of the outside funding sources committed when we go in July to the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, then we will not be competitive for funding. So thank you again for your time and attention.
Thank you, Emily. Additional citizen concerns? All right, seeing no activity, we're going to close out citizen concerns. And now we're at special reports.
Let's have Florence come first. She's been waiting a while.
Got you. Oh, you don't want to be first? She didn't look like it. Hey, I'm trying to do you a favor, sis.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone. I am Florence Randolph, the Community Outreach Specialist for the Yellow Springs Police Department. And we've had some heavy stuff going on here. I've been in this village for 32 years, raised 5 children through the school system here, and I count it a privilege and a joy to be able to serve the people who live, visit, and work in Yellow Springs in my capacity. So, my presentation that we had downstairs, we had a printer kafuckle. So, I know what I have to share with each of you, but I would also like to entertain questions because I've come across a lot of people in the village who don't know who I am, what I do. I've never heard of the community outreach specialist. What is that? So, I would like to answer any questions. I know this is not the conventional way to present, but I'd like to do that because I want people to know what is happening with my position in this village and how we are serving the village. I'm going to start with a few facts for you, and then I will take some questions. Initially, when Chief Carlson and the crew, the group of people who were at the village at the time came up with this position, I had retired from the Antioch Plate Company, and a friend said, hey, they're opening a position, you might be interested, because I had retired and gone to school for social work and criminal justice. So it fit, it married itself together. So I thought, okay. And then it took a while, and I was traveling, and it took a while. And then 8 months later, they say, oh, it's open. So I said, let me look. So I came in, interviewed for it. Here I am. I got the position. I am happy with that. And I know there are a lot of positions in Yellow Springs, but I truly can say I enjoy my job. I have the best job in Yellow Springs. I don't care who says what. My job is the best. I enjoy people. I enjoy resources, being able to provide them, and solutions to problems, and being able to direct people where they can get help that they need. This year, there's been a tremendous change in the way we're helping people. We talk about affordable housing, and I just want to say that sometimes I have to define to people what is affordable housing, because they say, I need low-income housing. I don't need affordable housing. Every house is affordable. I can't afford it. So I'm dealing with people who cannot afford to pay their rent every month, and they get behind for a few months, and then they have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and then the utilities don't get paid, and they get behind. And then if you have a Section 8 house or a house through metropolitan housing, if you get a shut-off notice for your utilities, in 3 days you get an eviction notice. So we have families every month who are going through this. So my job is to try and find funds for these families and help them to stay. Now, we have a family who has been evicted, mother, father, 2 children, who will have to leave the village because they just got behind in their rent and they can't seem to get ahead. And that happens more than you would know. I didn't realize that that was happening in the village until I took this job. So when you see me out and about, I'm usually asking for money. I used to be afraid to ask people for money because they're going to say no. But I found out that yes, some of them will say no, but some of them will say yes. So I have been appointed to some boards that are helping us to get this money. We live in Ohio, which is the Region 15 for housing, and those funds that come to Greene County are distributed through Xenia. So I am in coalitions with housing people and people with the Miami Valley CAP organization and United Way, so that when these funds come in, I get to at least see and maybe have a say-so on how they're distributed. So I want to encourage our villagers, our management, to look further into Region 15 funding for housing, and collaborate with United Way and Miami Valley CAP, because there are funds that we as a village don't get to partake in because of the way our utilities and our water is situated. So we can't get PIP money to help with our utility bills. And that's something that we might be able to change, but it's going to take someone taking a look at what that looks like for a village of our size with all the other housing and land issues that we have. So the other thing that's new this year for me is if you've heard of Emerge, which took over the old Career Center. Oh, yeah. Career Center location, the headquarters. So they have a recovery house that's located here in the village. So we have new residents of the village that we are servicing with the same services that I do other people. And these are all males, and they are recovering from some type of issue that they've gone through. So they're trying to rebuild. So in that rebuilding, and since COVID, the SNAP program, that's food for families, has been drastically reduced. Our Yellow Springs Community Foundation has graciously given us funds for food throughout my tenure here. Just in this last, since January of this year, we have given out $16,082 for food alone, food vouchers alone in the village. And we still have got a month to go. Last year, I didn't have the total amount because I was tracking differently, but we serviced 617 family units. And this year, so far, we've serviced 432. So we're spending more money on foods, but servicing less people. So that's, and since I don't have a budget line item, I have to ask for funds for this. But I will say, the Village of Yellow Springs and its residents are so generous. When there's a need, we step up to the plate. So I'm going to ask you to continue to do that and continue to be aware in all of your decisions that you have to make about housing and the school and all those things, that there are people who are in the village who are really struggling. So if there's a way for us to look at the process of how we deal with people in these situations, along with other entities, so some kind of collaboration, that would be wonderful for our social services here. Mental health is on the uprise, and I'm saying that the need for us to have resources for people that we don't have in the village, and I'm working closely with those entities in mental health. I've even taken on a new task to get a new degree in mental health so I can be even more serviceable or able to help the people in our village. Thank you. That's enough of heavy stuff. So are there any questions for me? Oh, before questions, I must say that we have always provided for our children, our youth center. We provide food for them, we provide fun for them, we provide whatever it is they need. We're working, helping our children, tutoring them and everything. But I must give kudos to the new Who's Hungry Kitchen, because they feed our children, although we feed them every day. Mondays and Wednesdays, they get a good home-cooked meal. You would not believe how many children are hungry. I don't know what's going on in their homes. I don't know what the lunch is like at the school. But these children come here at 3 o'clock, they get a snack, and they can hardly wait till 5 o'clock to eat dinner. And we're constantly feeding children in our village that don't have food in their homes. I've gotten calls after I go home at night, after 7 o'clock some nights, we don't have anything to eat in our house. Can you take me to the store? Can we get a voucher? And these are the kids asking. These aren't the parents. So that is something that we're dealing with in the village every day. So kudos to who's hungry and those guys who are fixing that food and the volunteers who are down there. It's needed. Okay, now, are there any questions?
Well, I'm... Yeah.
You may donate through the Yellow Springs Community Foundation, which is a tremendous organization that everyone in here can be involved in by donating to your cause through the Community Foundation. Or you may put a check in or funds directly to them. They have a tip basket at Mazoo sitting there to help. Or if you want to not just donate to food, you can always donate to the community outreach in the village. You can always donate to the coat fund, which is specific to coats and hats and gloves for kids. But you can always donate through the Yellow Springs Community Foundation. They have a lot of different entities in town that you are able to donate to. So pick one and donate.
Great.
So, yeah, I want to, Florence, thank you. You have brought so much to the village. And, you know, being part of like some of the changes that we made and, you know, really kind of saw like, actually it was this council that carved out the COS position. One of the things that we had talked about in the past was, you know, kind of a part-time like support. Where are we at with that, or, you know, what do you think are our needs?
Well, this morning I met with the Community Foundation and Homeful, who is an organization who has given help in case management for the homeless here.
Yep.
If you know Lee Wagner, who has been a longtime villager, he does my case management for homeless people through Homeful, who got a grant through the Community Foundation. Well, they've offered to have other case management from students in social work field, but the needs in Yellow Springs are not contingent, well, it's not congruent, I would say, with what we need in Yellow Springs. So we have a class of men, a house of men who need help in case management. And these students are usually women. They can't drive. They can't, you know, transport. So I did turn down this morning case management from them in that capacity. What I did ask for, though, was someone to either shadow me or to be an assistant to me, so that two things happen then. They get to get established in what happens and what I do in the village, so that when I'm off the scene, that they can just step right in, because there is a large learning curve to this job. I'm not saying that because it's me doing it, but anyone who would do it, it is. And you got to get to know people, you got to go to meetings, you got to be able to talk to people, ask for money, you got to be sympathetic, you got to be able to question people, you got to be able to challenge them, and you got to give them resources. So you got to know where to point them when they're in need of something. And there are a lot of needs. A lot of needs.
That's huge. So what has been like the big successes in the last year, in your opinion, and how can we help you in the future?
The big successes is, well, since COVID, I've been a part of helping with a lot of the programs with the youth, because they're right here and there. And we did feeding. We still do that. We do tutoring, and that's through collaboration with not just the youth center, but the 365 program and those mentors and NCCJ, the mentoring program, and that's another thing you can do. You can mentor a young person, you can get involved and share your skills, bring them alongside so they can learn. Because we don't have a lot of parents who can afford to take off work or take time out with their children because they can't afford. I mean, they got to work. They got to work extra. So I think the successes have been with working with the youth, working with the elderly, close contact with the senior center and the services for our elderly people. We did start, and I think it's going to continue, Coffee with Cops, which I think was a great success. It just didn't go far enough. It just didn't last long enough. But I'm pretty sure that that was a great success in my eyes. The therapy dog, people love Porter. They love Slinky. But taking the dog around to the bank and to the businesses, to the school, to the senior center, to the nursing home, that's been a great success for us.
Cool.
What else? Am I missing something?
I think you're good. I just, again, if you want to like ask us for something.
I can do that. Any other questions? Well, on my parting note then, I'm just glad to be here. Like I said, hey, I wake up every day ready to come to work. When I don't, the day I wake up and say, you know, I just can't stand it, I don't do it. I told Chief, I'm giving my notice and I'll be out.
That's right.
Because I can't be effective then and no good to anybody else if I don't have the desire to help. So, all of you are invited to my 70th birthday bash.
10 years? 11 years? 12 years?
I was on the 9th of November, I turned 70.
Hey.
Wow. Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
My children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are coming to town Monday, the 25th of November, here in the Bryan Center. You can come and meet my family and join us in a night of games.
What time?
Babies? From 7 to 11.
Oh, man. That's a real
Everybody's
party.
welcome.
Thanks, Florence.
So I want everybody to notice, when you give a special report, when you end it with a party invitation, it really goes over well. We appreciate that. Thank you, Florence, for all of that. Sorry I had to step out. So, looks like we're quarterly financials. Michelle?
Okay, so third quarter is delayed a little bit. We've been busy, as you know, with budget, payroll, all the fun stuff. So I'm going to go over the slides pretty quick, if that's all right with everybody.
Sure.
The first slide is the revenue analysis through September of 2024. We are ahead of the budgeted revenue by $1,845,497. Then on the next slide, the expense analysis. Expenses are $3 million under budget for third quarter of 2024. Then we're going to go over statement of cash from revenue and expense. At the end of that fourth slide, the beginning cash balance of $11,402,453 was increased to $13,915,281 at the end of September. Encumbrances for future expenses of $3,606,098. Reduce the expected cash balance to $10,309,183, showing a reduction of $1,093,270 cash balance as of September 30th. Then on the next slide, the revenue analysis by funds, the percentage collected. that part is incorrect. It should say September 30th. My apologies. Should be 75% or greater. The current rate is at 85, so we're sitting pretty good on that. Then the expense analysis by fund at the bottom of, I believe it's slide 7. For best budget management, the total percentage expended should be at 75% or lower as of the end of September. The overall actual expense is at 61. So we're under budget there as well. As you can see, though, the sewer fund was over appropriated at the end of September. That has since corrected itself in October. And also the broadband was over appropriated. That was corrected with tonight's supplemental. Next slide is the bank report. The cash balance increased at the end of quarter 3, 2024 from the beginning of the year in the amount of from $11,402,453 to $13,915,281, with a total increase of $2,512,828 for all of 2024. The total interest income as of September 30th for 2024 has been $531,578. And then the last slide is concerning utility roundup. As you know, we had to freeze it because we had more demand than money coming in at the time. So that was frozen, paused in May. We have since started it back up with the new rules for the ask. And right now, we have earned, through September 30th, we have earned $10,682. We've spent $7,000, that was for the whole year, so now our ending balance is $8,300. And I know with it getting colder, the season's changing, we're gonna have probably a lot more requests for utility roundup.
Okay. Questions, comments on Michelle's reports? Okay.
Get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor of approving this report, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Not hearing none, the motion is passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. Treasurer's report.
Yes, indeed. So some of this is a little bit repetitive to Michelle, so I'll sort of bounce through it fairly quickly. You know your active investment number from her report, and that represents an increase of $253,532 since the last report given in August of 2024. And that number is derived from combining the 3 accounts in which we hold funds. Interest on all investments for the third quarter of 2024 was $188,069.94. The investment picture continues to be stable, with a 0.25 rate cut occurring in early November, an indication that interest rates will again be lowered in December. Brad Drager gives you a good commentary on that, which is attached to the really lengthy thing you need to request from me because it eats up the entire packet. Gives your cash balances there in each of the 3 accounts as of September 30th, and again repeats that number, which is the number under active investment currently. You've got a comparison between September 30th, 2023 and September 30th, 2024. And as you can see, amounts are up in each of those areas. We had a good year. This sort of steady decline didn't start occurring in interest rates until fairly recently. So you've got Brad Drager's report, which gives you what we're earning with bond investments. Right now, we're holding pretty steady on that at a 4.5% interest rate on a 1.21-year commitment. As of September 30th, West Banco sweep account rate was earning at 5.46%. That has changed at this point. Star Ohio rates remain high but are slowly declining, with the annualized yield rate on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 at 4.93%. Treasury rates have been decreasing fairly notably in the previous 3 months, and I've given you those numbers there, and then they moved up pretty significantly as soon as the Fed, the anticipated 0.25 rate cut started looking like it was going to happen, so in about the week prior to that. That should happen again in December. It's very likely that we'll ask to move chunk out of Star, Ohio and into the bond market at that point because they're doing this thing. So Westbanco dropped the interest rate on the sweep account to 4.96 on September 20th. We engaged in conversation with Westbanco's local development VP, and Michelle and I got that rate moved up to 5% effective October 30th. That is likely to drop again, probably in December, just given the rate cuts. And that's your overview.
Judy, thank you for that. I am intrigued about I'm happy to hear that the Westbanco manager did agree to an increase, but we're not locked in there. It's just for the time being.
No, they are not willing to lock anything in, so it's basically flowing with the
changes in the Fed. Okay. All right.
Much better than where we were at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, a long time ago, much better.
Right.
Not much better than where we were at 3 months ago. I would say.
Yeah. It's tough, but we're in America. It works. Any other questions regarding these financial reports? All right. Do we? Yeah, we don't need to do anything with the treasurer. Okay, great. Thank you. All righty. So Johnny, I'm gonna say you can talk about as whatever you want to talk about.
I've only got 3 highlights. I'm going to cut mine short because we still got stuff to do after this. First off, with the elections and the moment that we're in time, I wanted to give a thanks to all the wonderful women that work for the village, that work directly under me to be able to make us very successful. I have got them all listed, even the elected officials on here as well. And I could not do this job without the back support. And the main one, it is not listed on this, is at home watching, and that is my wife.
That's right.
And the other one that I must say is not only Carmen Brown's birthday, but it is my daughter's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Turned 32 today, so it's my baby.
There we go.
So, Carmen, sharing birthdays. The other thing that I wanted to highlight, 2 other things really fast. The community tree lighting is December 7th, 6 to 8. So come out and join in the festivities with us. And Public Works staff will be starting the Wheel and Gaunt Flour and Sugar on November 25th and hope to have it all passed out by the 27th. And I am going to give my rest of my time to whoever's next.
So just out of curiosity, how many widowers and widows are on our list?
I believe we're at 93.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so we enlisted the help of the Senior Center this year.
Excellent.
And they have got us all up to date with who's moved out, who's went on, and correct addresses and phone numbers, and so they did a wonderful job.
Nice.
Great.
Excellent.
Great. Thanks. So, Johnny, on the old business issue, you want to say anything, or?
We are trying to get the final documentations to be able to put the RFP out. That is the update for LIHTC.
Got you. Okay. And any other additional questions on LIHTC?
Well, I mean, and so just to be a little bit more clear, so this week we'll get it
We're
out?
hoping by Friday, if everything
By
goes
Friday.
correct.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So for new business, there's an item that I'm going to recuse from due to conflict of interest. So I'll step down from the dais, and Vice President Gavin DeVore-Leonard will run this item.
Okay, I think the first thing is, Meg, if you want to go ahead and present, go for it.
Great, thank you.
So I've lost my voice. I was sick last week. I feel a lot better, but I'm going to try to project for you guys in the room mainly, because I think it can be picked up on the mic pretty easily. So thank you, counselors, for your time. Meg Leatherman, Planning and Zoning Administrator. As you are aware, the Windsor Companies is seeking to redevelop and rezone property at the location of the old Student Union Building on Antioch's campus. The property is currently zoned E1, and the rezone would be to planned unit development. Our village code requires the council to authorize submittal of a PUD application. So just to emphasize the word here, it requires council to authorize submittal of the application in advance of reviewing the actual application. In the cases where the property is less than 5 acres, which this one is. So again, Windsor would like to redevelop the site the Student Union Building is located on. It's significantly in disrepair and is presently unusable. If you haven't been to that property, I would take a walk. I did. It's definitely a lot worse up close than you can, if looking at it from even afar. So I took a walk around it with Jerry, actually. Has a lot of issues. So the plan would be to demolish that and construct apartments on the site. The property is only 2.169 acres though. So that's why they have to come in advance. And I'm going to highlight the code and what your focus should be on, because you do have to make a decision based on legal opinion in our code today. So the code specifically states that the council may consider authorizing the PUD application on less than 5 acres if you believe that, and this is in quotes, the site would advance the purposes of the PUD district. So in the staff packet provided to council, I provided the PUD purpose statement. So the question is, would potentially the site, specifically the site, advance the purposes of the PUD district as provided in the PUD purpose statement from our code. The PUD purpose statement actually includes quite a list of components to it, and in my opinion, I would think that that the site could potentially advance a couple of those purpose statements criteria, or not even criteria, but statements, I guess. No, just in my opinion, I believe the site would be able to achieve permit flexibility in the regulation of land development, achieving economy and efficiency in land use. I'm sorry. Achieving economy and efficiency in land use. And I do believe also minimizing traffic impacts in this scenario, and I know there's concerns about traffic, and the reason I think this site is unique and that it could potentially minimize it is because we are talking about and have already begun discussions on reacquiring our street that fronts along right now is undeveloped, but having that turned back into a street all the way East North College Street. Unlike other sites that might be completely enclosed that wouldn't have that opportunity to address traffic impacts, this site does have that potential to address it through reacquiring and reestablishing public right-of-way. I also believe it could promote efficient provision of public services and utilities and provide better housing for residents, which those are all from the purpose statement. So just to reiterate, council's vote on the matter is not a vote to approve or deny the rezone of the PUD. It is solely an expression of council's willingness to consider the PUD application on a site that's less than 5 acres. And should the council vote in favor of this, there are still several steps, including several public hearings that the applicant would have to go through. So you would have a chance to address some of the concerns that we've heard. And nothing is set in stone. There have been conceptual plans provided through a planning commission work session, but those are all conceptual and would be worked through different steps. And I'll just highlight that the PUD section of the code kind of outlines a framework of a first submittal that comes through public hearings. That's more of a conceptual, it goes along with the rezone. It doesn't have all the details, but it has enough details, hopefully, to alleviate planning commission and council to allow approval of a rezone. So multiple, again, that would be 3 different public hearings. And then, or actually no, 2, and then a special meeting with council. The first reading is not technically a public hearing, so, but 3 public meetings, 2 of them public hearings. And then the final development plan comes back through the planning commission. That's a site plan review that has all of the details sorted out. So, I mean, we'll get into that in more discussion at the following meetings should you authorize this. And so that I'll stand for any questions.
Do any council members have any questions?
I do not.
Can we make a motion? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. So I move to support our intent to, for this PUD application.
If I could, Brian, let's make that a motion to allow the PUD to move forward on less than 5 acres.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. That's what I meant to say.
I missed the last part.
The review of the application, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Me.
Carmen.
Thank you.
So are there any questions or discussion?
Can I just ask a quick question, though? Are they able to apply if they've not submitted all the information?
Yes.
They can?
Well, so,
Yeah, it's just the...
So they will have to provide additional material before it comes to planning commission, the first public hearing of planning commission. So right now, it's not even a completeness review level. It's just whether or not the site can further the PUD district purpose statement if you believe it could. It is a little bit of an awkward, I guess, scenario of cart before the horse kind of situation. Yeah, thank you. I'm trying not to be say too much, but I think it is an item that we probably would modify when we do amendments in the future because it is kind of confusing. It literally is just because it's less than 5 acres, and if you're okay with it being less than 5 acres, all the details are going to be presented to you later. I mean, you could say you don't think the details of the project don't work for some reason, or they do, or you want additional changes because of it, but that'll come later. And I've been talking with them a lot, so I think what he's talking about is I've already gone through a list of what needs to be submitted for it to be a complete application.
Absolutely.
And they don't have all of those items yet. They will need those before it goes to planning commission public hearing.
This is the willingness to consider the application.
Right, and I do want to reiterate, we're just saying that this can go through the process, and there will be an extensive process. So, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments, either for Meg or anything about the motion?
No.
Okay, Judy, I guess you want to call the roll?
Sure. Brown.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I think I hand the reins back to someone else now.
Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and support.
Board and commission reports.
Board, thank you. I looked at it when I was sitting over there and forgot that quick. Are there any board and commission reports that folks want to highlight, given that we...
I think we just want to thank Alex, right?
Oh, yeah. Alex Klug is the outgoing co-chair of the Environmental Commission. Her last meeting was Thursday, and she's off to I don't want to say bigger and better things because easy is awesome. But next chapter, she's going to be around, so that's good.
And
she's good to have around.
She really has been an amazing force, and so we are going to miss her a ton. Yeah.
She's doing lots of good stuff in a lot of different areas. Good.
We have, for the library meeting, Johnny, when you don't attend, you get thrown under the bus.
I was sensing that.
There you go.
So, you have a long list.
Oh.
Sorry, not sorry.
I was sensing that.
Yeah, been traveling.
I was traveling to the other meeting, and I was already feeling the road tracks.
Say.
Yeah, well, that's so good.
Hit us up if you have questions about what's in.
I just got the thing today, so. And the heaters are fixed at the library now. They finally got them all
Okay.
fine back up and running.
Their heater went out. Yeah, they were freezing in there.
Thanks.
People are running in and out. I don't even know what's going on.
So anything else on board and commissions? I think not. So we have moved on to future agenda items. I think everything just follows natural order.
Well, I guess just, all right, so are we, is Planning Commission talking about the gateway overlay? Meg?
I don't know the gateway overlay.
Yeah, I tentatively put it on there. I already have a draft. It should be pretty easy. I just have to get it approved by, reviewed by Amy and Judy.
So that potentially would happen at the December. Okay, cool. And then, so then I guess it kind of relates to us. So, Judy, I would like to, as soon as we get a recommendation from Planning Commission, have it on our agenda.
That is what usually happens.
Okay, I mean, just, yeah, don't want
It
to.
comes in the form of an ordinance, so it's,
Gotcha.
it takes as long as it takes to get that written up.
Cool. Well, I just want to, since we're talking about like agenda planning, so, yeah.
Was there anything else? I don't think much came out of tonight other than just the natural things, second readings, anything else. I'm sure there'll be plenty. That'll find its way to the agenda. It's been such a. We're not leaving.
Some of us are.
Yeah.
Right.
So if there's nothing else for the public meeting, Chair will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
For the purpose.
For the purpose of, is it discipline? Discipline? I don't know why. Is that what it is? Discipline?
Purpose of discussion of the investigation of a public employee.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate.
Roll call.
Roll call. Thank you.
Gavin DeVore Letters.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Pausch.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes. And
Brown is not, he's,
Brown just, I hope, taking a break.
okay, you got your majority, so you're good.
Yep. Okay. So who do we want to stay? Anybody?
He's going to a different Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new Zoom thing happening, y'all are going to the cart room.
Oh,
the conference
room?
The cart,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Thanks, guys.
Remember, this is where you can like launch your jazz.